Calling to order Historic Landmarks Commission, July 15th, 2026. Let's start with roll call.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Chair Grumbine.
Present?
Vice Chair Uli,
Present.
Commissioner Butler,
Here.
Commissioner Dorden,
Here.
Commissioner Ensberg,
Present.
Commissioner Lenvik,
Here.
Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
and Commissioner Rivera. We have a quorum. Thank you.
All right. Great. Thank you. All right. To staff as for announcements.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. On behalf of staff, I'd like to express my sincere condolences regarding the death of our beloved HLC Commissioner, former Mayor, Planning Commissioner, and all-around civic leader, Sheila Lodge. Sheila left a lasting legacy in this community for which she cared so deeply, and our hearts are with her and her family. Chair, I'll now turn it over to you to invite anyone to say a few words before we proceed with today's meeting.
All right. Thank you. All right. So to my fellow commissioners, if you would, Commissioner Ensberg, I see you hit your light on. Do you want? I want to invite everyone to. Why don't we start with a moment of silence, and then we'll give everyone a chance to say something if they wish. All right. Who would like to start? You brought her book.
As
You have many
as
times.
I always do, you can tell the corners are all frayed and everything. And Sheila was, I think for all of us and for the whole community, such an inspiration and such a good friend, and just, you know, I can't say enough about how much I appreciated and valued and treasured her. And this book, I hope everyone has it, and if you don't have it, please, I think it's probably available at Chaucer's. Please get it, please read it. It tells you everything you need to know about Santa Barbara and how important our little hamlet is. And so I just think about Sheila all the time, and she is in my heart, and I know you all probably feel the same. So I will continue bringing her book and putting it here to remind us of the important work that we do.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ensberg. All right, Commissioner Dorden?
I'd like to say I met Sheila Lodge in 2019 at an event you organized, because we were both speakers at that. And my comment is that Sheila Lodge loved Santa Barbara, but it was not a selfish love. It wasn't, I have a beautiful home, although she had a beautiful home in a great location. It wasn't, I love my life. Sheila's love for this town was unselfish, and it was manifested for decades as service, as mayor, as member of the Planning Commission, as member of this commission, and as a mentor to the next generation of community leaders. So her death is a loss for the whole community. And with the rest of this community, I am mourning our loss and the loss of a friend.
Thank you, Commissioner Dorden.
I have similar thoughts. She was my mayor, my colleague, my friend, and she led with strength, fairness, and unwavering integrity, always placing the community above herself. She'll be sorely missed, and especially at a time when the city could benefit from her brand of thoughtful, principled leadership. So Sheila traveled the universe in peace.
Thank you. Thanks, Julie. Commissioner Rivera.
First of all, thank you for allowing me to be part of this board. It's a great honor, my first day, and it's a little awkward to be sitting in Sheila's spot. Sheila and I met when I was on the ABR in the early 90s, and we served in a couple of subcommittees. And I just want to say that, is that not working? Oh.
You have
Thank
to
you.
speak in the microphone like a rock star.
I just want to say that there's a lot of really amazing people that have really made Santa Barbara beautiful, like the way it is. And I've had the opportunity to grow up in this beautiful city. And also, like my friend Henry Lenny, who was another great mentor of mine, has passed away, is one of the reasons why I'm sitting here to sort of getting the baton passed to me and sharing with you all what we are entrusted to do in this great city. Thank you.
Commissioner Butler?
My first introduction to Sheila was after I appeared on a podcast. It was supposed to be about technology, and I made some rather incorrect comments about the history of Santa Barbara. She was very thoughtful in how she corrected my errors, and I think from that sort of initial introduction, we sort of created a little personal relationship, and this was before she joined the commission. So when she showed up in the commission, I immediately darted over there and said, hello, how are you?" She'll be remembered for a long time, and she'll be greatly missed.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I do, but I was trying to wait to the end.
Well,
As a
let me
proper chair.
Before you talk,
Yes, Commissioner Lundbeck.
yeah, I knew Sheila Lodge for a long, long, long time, maybe even before she was a lodge. And I think that we can honor her by, and other really strong women in our community. I mean, Pearl Chase, and you can go down the list, past mayors. We can honor them by taking our job really, really seriously. And at every project we look at, we maybe should say, what would Sheila Lodge say about this project? Or what would Pearl Chase say about this project? Or, you know, and make sure that we review and approve the best projects that we can, and not compromise this, you know, the built environment for other maybe similarly important issues in the community, but continue to make sure that we preserve, protect, and grow what we have here in a manner that she would find acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner McClure, did you want? No. Okay, well, so my thoughts on Sheila was, I've known her for not as long as most of you, or some of you, but have known her probably over this last decade especially. And I think that her, as mentioned, her integrity and her very thoughtful way of looking at all things Santa Barbara and what are the benefits and why. And oftentimes that led to her being sometimes the only voice on the Planning Commission voting against something. And it's very interesting because within boards and commissions, there's kind of a tendency when you're the only, lone voice to, well, can I just get along with everyone and kind of go with it? But I think one of the main lessons that Sheila, and watching her in the Planning Commission and also here, and she probably voted more with us than with the Planning Commission, for the record. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, Planning Commission. But she was not afraid at all to be extremely principled about what her reasons were, and if it didn't go with it, she would vote against it. And even if she was the only lone voice, which was probably the more often than any other planning commissioners or other members. And I think that strength, I didn't see her when she was mayor, didn't know her then, but I'm sure that strength has been part of her, carried through her whole career and her whole life, which has been really a great thing for us to see. And then the other note I wanted to add was, it's, as Commissioner Rivera alluded to with Henry Lenny as well, is it's really interesting because Sheila was an overlap. Sheila was that one of the, and they're becoming fewer and fewer, but the overlaps that overlapped with Santa Barbara in the 1920s, 1925 and on, where Santa Barbara really took on its character and its architecture and architectural character and design, and those great leaders then that Pearl Chase and Bernard Hoffman and the various architects and all the different people, the community that really built that. Well, there was this overlap generation of Sheila and now overlapping with us. And Henry Lenny was also part of that overlap with some of the architects that were part of that movement. So it's very interesting because I think we're also at a time, and Sheila was a perfect example of how can learn from those who have sort of handed that baton. And I think with her book, and now also with her designated house, which is just this last year designated, that we are really, or maybe the year before, that's part of that legacy of Santa Barbara, and that's something that we really need to keep at that top level. So I agree with my fellow commissioners on those various thoughts that they've pulled together as well, because that really was Sheila and how she ended with us. It was interesting. One of the other things that took me by surprise very much was hearing that she had died, because the week before we had canceled HLC, and she had reached out, called me, and so I called her back, and kind of coordinated for that. And I said, oh, okay, well, hopefully your hip will be better and you'll be able to come back in soon. And she just kind of said, well, I don't think so. And just like left it at that. And I was like, well, that was odd. Like, and that was a couple days, or a week before, less than a week before. Anyways, it was very interesting reflecting on that, having she sort of had the composure to the very end of like, this is what I'm here for, this is what I'm doing, and just sort of kept everything simple. And it was a very memorable conversation for me on that. So with that, I'd like we thank you, Sheila, and for all your service, and our commission will continue in her spirit with that strength and making sure that Santa Barbara stays an uncommon place. So, all right. Oh, yes. And then do we want to have,
Would you like to open general public
yeah,
comment?
we'll open general public. I wasn't sure which direction. Okay, we'll open general
We'll
public comment.
invite Kristen Snedden to speak.
Yes, thank you, council member.
Thank you. I don't usually speak to HLC. I wanted to also share in the acknowledging the magnificence of Sheila Lodge. And I can say that up to her last day, she was working on documents, caring about the community. It was an honor for her to serve on HLC. She continued to be surprised that she was still relevant. And I think all of us could say, can't imagine someone more relevant. As you all know, Sheila was brilliant, and in ways that weren't just, as you say, with the overlap, not just architecturally or planning-wise, but she saw the world in 4 dimensions, not just the layout of the maps of the plans, but then also the height, the scape, the movement of the wind and the air and the light, and also the people. And then all of that through time, not just backwards, but also visionary forward. And I'm sure we're all going to still see visions of Sheila through the rest of our lives, and what it is that she's meant to this community and to all of us personally. We will be planning a civic memorial celebration of her life. It will be at the end of August, beginning of September, so it's an invitation to please contact me if you have things to share. Documents are coming out of everywhere, and also particularly I will be handling the archives of her home and civic life, and so I will need help in where archives to go, and this is a call to the community as well, that you as historians are very well aware of all of the significance, and she really, really loved being on HLC, and just wanted to acknowledge and share in the voice of that.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Snedden.
Thank you. So if anyone else would like to speak under general regarding Commissioner Lodge or anything else under general, you can approach the podium at this time.
And we'll have public comment for all the other items in their due course.
Yes, if anyone would like to speak under any other items on today's agenda, you can fill out a speaker slip on the pink clipboard along that wall and bring it up to me, and I will call your name under that item. But since no one is approaching the podium to speak under general and we don't have any participants online, I'll just acknowledge that we received written correspondence under general from Virginia Railing and give it back to you.
All right, thank you. All right, we will go now to item B, approval of the minutes of Historic Landmarks Commission consent meeting of June 3rd, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Under discussion, do we have any edits or anything? All right. Okay, in that case, let's have a roll call vote for,
And pardon my interruption, we should open public comment for this item as well. Thank you.
oh, okay, for approval of the minutes, okay. So,
Is that a new step? I don't think
Yes,
we-
this is a new process starting today. Sorry
Okay.
for the late
yeah.
notice.
All right,
I don't have any public comment for this item at this time.
okay. All right, and we'll close public comment for this, for item B, approval of minutes, and back to the commission. And let any other, there were no edits, so let's have a roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorden,
Yes,
Commissioner Rivera, Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvick,
Yes.
Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
Vice Chair Uli,
Yes.
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. On to item C, approval of the minutes of Historic Landmarks Commission meeting of June 17th, 2026.
So moved.
All right, do I have a motion, do I have a second, Commissioner Butler?
Sure.
All right, and then, under discussion, any edits or discussion? All right, let's have do we need to open public comment for this?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. Thank you.
Public comment on everything.
Okay, is that true?
Yeah, on the approval and ratification of the minutes.
I don't believe you.
It's implied.
Okay, okay,
We don't have any public comment under this item at this time.
all right. In that case, we'll come back to the commission and have a roll call vote.
Begin with Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvick,
Yes.
Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
Commissioner Rivera, Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorden,
yes,
Vice Chair Uli,
Yes.
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, now we are on to approval of the minutes of Historic Landmarks Commission consent meeting for June 17th, 2026. A motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and then you second it. Wow, that was a fast second. All right, under discussion, any discussion about the consent calendar? All right, seeing none, let's open public comment.
Thank you. At this time, I don't have any public comment under this item. I'll give it back to you.
All right, close public comment. Back to the commission for a vote.
I'll begin with Commissioner Dorden,
yes,
Commissioner Rivera, Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvick,
Yes.
Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Uli,
Yes.
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, great. On to item E, ratification of action taken on consent calendar of July 1st, 2025.
Yes, thank you, Chair Grumbine. Staff will go ahead and announce the actions taken on the July 1st consent meeting. So we had item A, 29 East Victoria Street, which received project design approval and final approval with the comment that the screening on the west side of the building should match what currently exists, and project compatibility findings and minor alteration findings were made. And I did want to acknowledge that we received written correspondence from Virginia Railing on this item, and it was distributed to the commission prior to this meeting. Then we had item B, 916 State Street. This project received project design approval and final approval as submitted with project compatibility findings made. Item C, 728 De La Vina Street was continued indefinitely with comments. And item D, 276 Cannon Drive was continued indefinitely with comments.
All right. To the commission, yes, Commissioner Lemke.
Would you repeat what the comments were on item A, 29 East Victoria Street?
Yes, I can repeat them. So we had item A, 29 East Victoria Street, received project design approval and final approval with the comment that the screening on the west side of the building should match what currently exists, and project compatibility findings and minor alteration findings were made.
Who reviewed that?
Me.
Well,
Oh, can you turn your mic on too?
I have a question of the reviewer. Was that all new construction that's being proposed?
No.
It appears now that there's simply a piece of plywood up there painted white.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay,
Approval after they constructed it,
I understand that.
with no screening on the west side.
I understand that.
So, and actually, is it actually plywood, and can you see the grain?
No, you
No, it's
can't.
been painted.
Okay.
I will vote against approval of that, asking that be brought before this commission.
Okay, and then, so I think the vote is to bring it up to the commission, right? Not, or,
Yeah, so right now we're just voting on whether the actions were correct, like clearly recorded, so accurate. So we can't change the decision. It's just whether or not the actions are accurate.
but can it be called up to the full commission at this point? So that it doesn't, if it gets ratified, then
Yes, I believe
voted
it can.
against, then,
Yeah.
then that'll add a whole 2 weeks, I think, to the cycle. Is that right? Well,
Yes,
let's
and I
say, let's
believe,
put it this way. What are all of our options?
Thanks, Chair Grumbine. I can explain. Ted Hamilton, Rural Design Review Supervisor. So your options for either ratifying or pulling up an item are basically if you ratify the action that was taken at consent, that's approval of the consent item. If you do want to pull it to a full commission meeting, then you would move to do so, and then staff would put it on the next available full commission agenda for you all to review.
And
Those
just
are-
a question note on that. How many commissioners, or what's the tipping point for bringing it up, or just one commissioner is okay to bring it up to full commission?
There would be a roll call vote for all commissioners.
Okay.
on-
So it has to be
and-
majority of commissioners feel that to bring it up to the full commission.
Yes, and typically the way that this motion would work, it would be a motion to pull item A in this case up to the full commission and ratify items B through the end of the agenda.
Gotcha.
And the majority would have to approve that, and then that would be the action.
Got it. And then if that didn't pass the majority, then it would be to, in this case, probably ratify the whole thing, and then that would be the new motion, and then that would have to pass.
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure that we have all of our governance stuff in order. Okay, and then so there is no option to vote against it in particular. Those are two options. Either you vote for pulling that up and ratifying, or the rest, but there's no option where you just vote against the thing.
There is, I believe the correct procedure would be to have it reviewed at full commission, and then if there was a motion to deny the project at that time,
Yeah.
that's the appropriate time to make that motion. You're just, today's decision is only saying yea or nay to the ratification, or saying yea or nay to the consent action. And a nay essentially means you're pulling it up to the full commission.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense, and that's what I was thinking it was somewhere along the lines of, because we haven't actually reviewed it, so voting against it would be, could be problematic.
Right.
Okay, great.
Would be, not
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, yeah.
Would be problematic.
Yes. Okay, so is everyone clear on?
No, I'm not clear.
Okay, so if you can't vote no for it right now, you need to bring it up to the full commission to be able to vote yes or no on it at the full commission level. So I think the motion that you're implying you want to make is a vote to, assuming that you're okay with the rest of them, ratify the rest and to pull that one item, item A, to bring that to full commission, and then that's where we review it, have the discussion, and can vote.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a substitute motion that item A be pulled from the approval calendar and brought before the full commission. The balance of the items can proceed,
Ratified.
it can be ratified. That's my substitute motion.
Okay. All right, great. So we have that motion now. Do we have a second for that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, Commissioner Jordan seconded it. All right, under discussion,
I just want to point out to the commission that if you've not seen what's there, you cannot vote to support it. It is absolutely awful.
Looks like a jet engine.
Yeah, it's absolutely awful. And I think that we should make sure that we bring it before us, and we should also criticize the approval person that approved it.
should we kick dust on him too, or?
As long as he doesn't make me sit in that.
No,
Or-
okay. Okay, well, I suggest you drop that last part from. your
Oh, yeah,
motion.
I'm commenting that it's really bad, really bad.
Okay, so other discussion.
I had similar reaction, so I would advocate to bring it up to the full commission.
Okay, and we have a second for it. So any other discussion, Commissioner Butler or McClure or Commissioner?
I agree
Ensberg?
with
Yeah.
these two guys.
Commissioner Ensberg.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So I was not here for this. This was on July 1st.
Consent.
Yeah, but this is a consent calendar item, so you weren't.
So it doesn't matter?
Yeah, because it's basically, our power is given to the consent reviewers, and all we're doing now is ratifying that or not. If we want to see it, we pull it
Okay,
up.
so it doesn't
So
matter that
there's-
I wasn't there on
yeah.
the day that it was,
No.
that it was reviewed, and I can choose to go whichever way?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
All right, so,
And even Commissioner Rivera
Yes.
can still also vote on this one, I believe, because, yeah, okay, because there hasn't been.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
and are you taking a vote right now?
No, I'm just making
Okay.
sure we're all clear on everything. And then any other comments before we move this along and have a vote?
Well, we do have, we see pictures of it, you know, and, I would support bringing up to the full board.
Okay, great. Okay, so everyone's weighed in? All right, so let's have a,
One other, sorry, Chair.
Yeah.
The 916 State Street, could we just have a quick little update about what that was as well, please?
What?
That's
B,
B.
item
That's
B.
B, 916 State Street. This was the city of Santa Barbara. Maybe Vice Chair Uli could share with us a little bit about what that one was, please?
Staff can give the update.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe they were proposing planters up on the rooftop.
yeah.
Okay.
And that was, I think, planters on the railings, like past the railings or something,
Yeah,
right?
that's correct.
Yeah.
And
that-
if I may,
yeah.
Ellen Coquinta, City Planner. So the planters were to try to create more of a barrier so people don't throw things down on State Street. So it was to trying to create a nice aesthetic barrier, so there's a little more buffer between the parking lot area and looking down.
And as a note, I'll just throw this in, because also with additional knowledge, so as a note from a couple months ago, I want to say, staff reached out and asked about this general approach, what I thought of it. And in looking at it that time, and I don't know the final version, if it matched exactly, but it looked pretty similar. It seemed like a reasonable thing to deter things, and also very low-key on the other side of the railing. So it's not like it's something that looks bad from State Street. Yeah. Commissioner Uli, Vice Chair Uli.
Mr. Chair, our agenda is not agendized to discuss these things. We're just ratifying the consent calendar or not ratifying it. So I think we need to narrow the discussion to the ratification or not, and not discuss the merits of the project.
Okay, so I think a little bit of info is okay, just as an update.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, okay, so anything else from you, Commissioner Ensberg, on that?
No, that was
Okay.
all, and thank you.
All right, so the motion, or the substitute motion, is for the ratification of B, C, and D, and for item A to be pulled and brought up to the full commission. So that's the motion. And so do we need public comment on this?
Yes, I believe
Okay.
we do. Thank you.
All right.
Was there a
Just in
second?
time.
Was there a second?
There was a second. Commissioner Jordan had seconded it. Okay, so now we'll go to public comment on this item.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. We did receive written correspondence from Virginia Railing in regards to this item. But other than that, I don't have any more public comment, and I'll give it back to you.
All right. All right, so now we'll close public comment, and now we'll go to the commission for a vote. Roll call vote, please.
Thank you. I'll begin with Commissioner Lenbeck,
Yes.
Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
Commissioner Rivera,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Vice Chair Uli,
Yes?
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right. So, and then in terms of when it's pulled up, does it, could we say it the soonest available? Is that
Yeah,
reasonable?
staff will look at availability and put it on the soonest available agenda.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so we are on to item F now, announcements, requests by applicants for continuances and withdrawals, future agenda items, and appeals.
Yes, thank you, Chair Grumbine and Commissioners. I just have a brief announcement. So under a new law that went into effect this year, SB 827, all advisory group members that were appointed by City Council are required to complete 2 hours of physical training. So you should have received email notifications about this yesterday afternoon with information on how to complete that training. Thank you.
Were you laughing because you thought they were
Well, it's like, you know,
bad at finance?
it was just the lunacy of Sacramento that, you know, advisory boards don't touch any city dollars, so it just seems crazy that we get fiscal training, yeah.
We're architects, leave us alone.
Yeah.
We're not good with money. All right.
Is there a deadline?
There
Yeah,
was-
June of next year.
We have time.
Deadline.
Yeah, we got a long time, so. All right. Any other announcements, et cetera?
I'm being corrected.
And I just wanted to formally welcome Commissioner Rivera here on the Historic Landmarks Commission. We are so thrilled, all the expertise you're bringing. I know that you've been a longtime volunteer prior on the ABR and then at the county, and so we're very fortunate to have your expertise and kind of talking. It's nice to hear a little bit more about your family tree when it comes to architecture and mentorship, and again, just want to welcome him to the commission and looking forward to working with you.
Yes, Commissioner Rivera, welcome. Thank you for volunteering. And he's also a licensed architect as well, so just as a note.
Another one?
Yeah, another one, yep. You're almost surrounded.
I am surrounded.
All right, yes, welcome. Great, all right, on to item G, subcommittee reports. So, any subcommittee reports, or subcommittee meetings to report, or,
Nothing from designations yet.
okay, anyone else?
Yes, Chair Grumbine, I can give an update on our little project over at the West Figueroa. I was over there this morning and over the other day, and I'm very happy to see that really good progress is being made. They have done all the demolition. It looks so much better already. They've taken out the columns, and the lights, the string lights are up, and the lights around the sycamore tree are installed. And I think next will be, I have a reach out to find out just what the schedule is and when we can expect it to be fully completed. But still, they have planting, the in-ground planting is still left to do, and painting of the surface, the walking surface, and the gates to the trash enclosures, and then the big pot that we have at the front. So it's looking really, really good. I'm very pleased with it, and there was one issue with respect to the staging area where they have all the trash cans are out kind of in the parking lot, and they're sort of blocking some of the businesses from the back. And so there was a reach out by one of those businesses, and so I have emailed to see what can be done to, do a little bit better job of tidying up at the end of the day and finding a place to store those trash bins during the construction. But all in all, really, really good, and I think it's a great example for the city to see how we can collaborate more and get some things done that don't cost a whole lot of money. So I welcome you all to, when you're over in that area, you can peek through the fence and get a look at it yourself. So, and thank you to the team here, to Chair Grumbine and Commissioner McClure.
Yeah, and yourself as well. Yeah, it was great to see it, and we should have a ribbon cutting to reopen the Paseo.
Yes, and I should also thank our liaison,
Yep.
Councilwoman Snedden, who also was part of our group that we brought together, 2 years ago, to try to get this thing done. So thank you.
Yep. All right, great. Any other announcements by subcommittees? Otherwise, we'll move on. We are 20 minutes behind, but we'll march through here. So we are on to item 1. This is a structure of merit designation for 1242 Dover Lane. This is a request to adopt Resolution 2026-5, designating the 1927 Spanish colonial revival designed by architect Leonard Cook as a structure of merit. So, Ms. Pate. All right.
Thank you. Okay, a couple quick facts. 1242 Dover Lane is on the local register of historical resources, previously called the Historic Resources Inventory. It was listed in 1986. It was constructed in 1927 by architect Leonard A. Cook. The builder was Andrew C. Jensen. It is Spanish colonial revival style. It was originally single-family residential, and it remains the same today. Just a little bit of a backstory on the assessment. A historic significance report was written by Devin Stuzan and Nicole Hernandez in 2021, and later revised in 2022. A Phase 1 report was written by Post Hazeltine in 2022, which was accepted by HLC, and a further Phase 2 report, again by Post Hazeltine in 2022 for proposed work at that time, which was also reviewed and approved by HLC. The current report that you saw in the agenda, I updated to include a little bit of the information in the previous reports and to address the approved alterations to the rear. So just a little bit of a backstory on Leonard Austin Cook. He was born in Birkenhead, England in 1880. He immigrated to the US in 1901 at the age of 21. He began working as a draftsman in 1902 and later worked as an architect in Augustus B. Higginson's office. He left Santa Barbara in 1909 to move to Pasadena to work as a draftsman for Green & Green, leaving a year later to establish his own practice. He received his architectural license in 1915, and he's designed buildings in a range of styles, including eclectic houses combining multiple motifs from different styles. He designed 2 other houses on Dover Lane, 1241 and 1415, and a handful of other commercial and residential buildings in Santa Barbara. So 1242 Dover Lane is a 2-story L-shaped building whose plan form has not significantly altered since 1927. You can see it's still in that L-shaped form today. The home, which represents the work of a master architect, features many of the character-defining features of Spanish colonial revival style and qualifies under criteria C. Some of these features include the cross-gabled clay tile roof, smooth whitewashed stucco, wall cladding, L-shaped plan, asymmetrical facade, wood-divided sash windows recessed into the stucco wall, a heavy wood plank door under arched entryway, an emphasis on outdoor spaces including patio, terrace, and balcony. The garden also contains an original sandstone retaining wall and steps. I pulled a couple of the original drawings for you. I don't know if you've seen some of these in the past. This was the first set produced by Leonard Austin Cook, slightly different as he added the garage extension to the front of the building, that north elevation to the right-hand side there. And then you can see the east elevation there. Some floor plans. And so 1242 Dover Lane meets criteria C for the work of a master and for the distinctive characteristics of the Spanish colonial revival style, as previously stated. And it retains integrity of location, materials, design, and setting, and retains a high level of historic integrity as it conveys its 1927 appearance. And that concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you. All right, let's go to open public comment now for this item. Any member of the public wishing to speak on item number 1?
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. At this time, I don't have any speaker slips for in-person public comment for this item. So I will move to virtual participation, which we don't have anybody online, and we didn't receive any written correspondence for this item, so I'll give it back to you.
All right, thank you. To the commission, any questions, discussion?
I have a question for our architectural historian. Was there not sufficient evidence to also for the property also to qualify under B because of Cook's contributions to architecture in Southern California?
So representing the work of a master is actually under criterion C.
I thought that was materials and craftsmanship, not the person.
They
I think B is the person.
B is for the person of significance. Yeah. I suppose we could qualify him as either significance be for a significant person that made large contributions to Santa Barbara, but as he's also the architect, it was lumped under criterion C.
All right.
Okay, other questions or discussion? Commissioner Lenvick?
Yes, I don't believe this house warrants designation. It is not.
Sorry.
There's
Vice Chair
really nothing,
Uli's
in my,
cross-response
in
to
my
it was-
opinion, it does not meet the standard of Spanish colonial revival or any other particular style. It is simply a white plastered building. And in reading the documents here, I don't sense that the architect would be defined as a master, quote unquote master. I don't know that what he's done in the community, which is, significant. And I just don't believe we should be honoring this building. It's a pleasant building. It's well cared for, but it's been added on to. It has none of the features that we expect, significant buildings to have. So I would be opposed to approving this as a structure of merit.
Okay, so within that discussion, and actually, could you go back to the draw? We can go drawings first. So this is good because it shows the front elevation on the left and the side elevation on the right, which are the two main facades. And I think for the most part, both of those facades are almost exactly what they were. And the portion that got added to was on the back side where we wanted it to be, because that project came before us as part of it. So I think it really retains almost especially from the street and the public right-of-way, you retain almost 100% of the original look and size and feel and massing and details and all those things. And yeah, it's fairly simple, but even the windows are Spanish colonial revival or of this era. There are some simple moves like the arched door. There's not a lot of detail, but most of the detail that it was designed that way is still there, and it's basically a simple Spanish colonial revival house. So it's on the simpler end for our Spanish colonial revival, but it's definitely Spanish colonial revival in terms of the type.
Yeah, I don't agree at all. I mean, you look at that end elevation, and those large windows are not, something you'd find in a Spanish colonial revival house. I just don't.
We're working on a couple of George Washington Smiths right now that have exactly that. They have a paired casement, 2x3 or something similar. That's very much it can be, or it can be others too, but that's very much within the language, at least in my opinion.
So,
I know Vice Chair.
Mr. Chair, so, if there was a range with a slide bar on it for Spanish colonial revival, on the left side of the scale, you'd have just a simple expression of white plaster and red tile roofs and a few details. On the other end, you'd have Jeff Shelton. And the bar slides back and forth and can give you any combination of details and expressions. This clearly is a Spanish colonial revival. It's probably a little more on the left side of the scale than the middle or a George Washington 3/4 down that scale approach. Its integrity is almost 100% from what we can see from the public way, which is what our criteria calls for. And Cook, while he may not have been a significant architect in Santa Barbara, he was significant in Southern California, along with a number of other individuals of that period. So I think it clearly qualifies to be a structural merit.
All right, any other discussions? Yeah, Commissioner Rivera.
I actually agree with Commissioner Lambert.
Is your light on? Yeah.
There we go, I'm sorry. So I am in agreement with Commissioner Lemvick on this one. I actually know this house pretty well, drove by it. It's just because it's old doesn't mean we should give it a structure of merit. It's a very simple Spanish colonial house. I do agree with that, but it doesn't deserve to be called a structure of merit because it's really not a specimen, something that we would be honored to showcase, saying this is what we do in Santa Barbara. And those are my comments.
Okay. Other comments, Commissioner Ensberg?
Goodness gracious.
A feisty item one.
Wow. I find it to be very supportable. I like the simplicity of it, as Commissioner or Chair, Vice Chair Uli said, you know, the sliding bar. I don't think the fully decorated cake is really, you know, the one you always want. I think that the simplicity, the proportions, the restraint, there's a lot to be said for that. And I think that if we were over there at that house right now, I think we would feel that energy of that house and the quality of it and the fact that it has been maintained. I find it to be, you know, very, very elegant, even though it doesn't have a lot of, you know, sugar coating or whatever you want to call it. So I absolutely do support it, and I think it's a really good example of a very simple, well-done Spanish colonial revival on that end of the scale.
All right. Other Commissioner McClure?
I have a question for the building architects here. The Monterey balcony, it appears that that's only about 3 feet deep. Would that be considered inauthentic, being that narrow or that?
No, it can vary for sure. As you see, the slope goes down, so there's only a certain distance you can go out without having to kick the roof and go into a lower slope. So you see that as a move. Oftentimes to get the deep balcony is to kick your roof and then extend it, and then do a true Monterey would be to carry down the posts typically to the ground floor as well, so that you can actually have that span.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
It's kind of like a Juliet Monterey balcony.
Yes, a genre.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
I think,
Any other?
I think-
Why don't we ask our architectural historian what his thoughts are on whether this is a structure of merit, or he thinks it's a structure of merit or not.
I find it supportable.
There we go. Okay. And Commissioner Butler, anything else from you?
Well,
Or anything from you?
being the non-architect, I'm going to stay out of the crossfire. But I would support the designation.
Okay. All right. So we've heard from everyone. Let's. Would someone like to make a motion, and then we can.
I'd like one more comment.
Okay. Go for it, Commissioner.
I think that the things that don't work are the steepness, the pitch of the roof, which is not what we would normally see on Spanish colonial revival. The large windows in, for instance, on that end elevation, east elevation, are not typical of Spanish colonial revival. Even though you're working on one, I don't believe they're typical. I would say the wing to the right, you know, are more typical, but there are too many features on here which are not, which indicate it was not designed as Spanish colonial revival. It was designed as a simple house.
Okay. Well, since you brought up the roof pitch, it looks like it's like 5 and 12, which is still within 5 and 12, 4 and 12, 3 and 12 are still all within the while 3 and 12 is a little more typical, and 4 and 12, but 5 and 12 is still within that range too. So just in terms of a comment back to the roof pitch. All right. Any other Vice Chair Uli, were you going to say something?
I was going to make a motion that 1242 Dover Lane be designated a structure of merit.
I'll second that.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Jordan. Under discussion, any further discussion? Commissioner Ensberg?
Well, I would just like to say one more point, that we do support creativity by all of our skilled architects, and for them to, you know, maybe move out of the range of what might be typical. And I think the great example that Vice Chair Uli said was, you know, you can go all the way from this end all the way over to Jeff Shelton, which is a very good show, the broad. So I do, again, just, even though the windows may be larger, I think it's okay. And I think it's a beautiful example. So I had to say that
right.
one more thing.
All right.
And so do we have a second?
We have a second, so this is under discussion.
Okay.
So unless there's any final comments, let's vote. All right, roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Rivera,
Deny.
Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvik,
No.
Commissioner McClure.
I'm going to abstain. I don't know enough about it.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Uli,
Yes?
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Would you, Commissioners Rivera and Lindvik, would you like to provide reason for the record for your denial?
It's a, it's a poor example of Spanish colonial revival.
Commissioner Rivera?
I agree, and it is a simple house. It's, doesn't have the detailing, especially in the roof eaves and rakes, and just the overall simplicity of the Spanish house doesn't merit, I don't think that this would be a structure of merit.
Okay, thank you. All right, this has passed, so should we do the resolution now, or, yeah?
I'm not sure. Do we do that?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. Okay, so I guess I'll read it and, yes, I'll read it and then sign.
I don't know if you have to read it since we just litigated it.
That's true. Do we need to read it, or is it?
Sorry, Chair Grumbine. I think last time we just had you sign them at the end.
Okay, great. That's,
So we could just do
all
that
right,
at
that
the
sounds
end
good.
of
Let's do that.
today's meeting.
all right. So then we are on to item 2 then, structure of merit designation for 415 Calle Grande, or Granada, sorry. So this is a request to adopt resolution 2026-6 designating the 1930 English vernacular style building built by Lou J. Kilgore as a structure of merit. All right. It's Thomas Pate.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine.
Could I, sorry for the interruption, is there some reason why our computers are not working here?
Yeah, so
Do
I
you
have
new equipment? or-
the PowerPoint is pulled up on my computer, and so the staff PC isn't connected to your guys' monitors. It's
Okay.
only the applicant laptop. So unfortunately, the only way to view it is up on the monitors behind you.
Is that a new thing, or is that going to be?
No, it's been that way.
Not the staff stuff.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, so some quick facts. 415 Calle Granada is listed on the local register of historical resources. This was earlier this year as part of the San Roque survey. It was constructed in 1930. The architect is not known, but the builder is Lou J. Kilgore. Its architectural style is English vernacular. It was originally built as a single-family residential, and it retains that today. Let's see. So yes, as I said, it was assessed most recently during the San Roque Historic Context and Resource Survey, and the report was prepared by Sarah Corder, Principal Architectural Historian at South Environmental in 2025. Here it is on the 1930 Sanborn map and Google Earth today. A little about the style history. The English vernacular and Tudor revival styles were popular in Santa Barbara from the very early 1900s through the 1930s. It's one of the predominant styles in the San Roque neighborhood. It was influenced by the small house movement and the small house design publication of 1924. Santa Barbara became a leader in promoting quality small house designs and received national recognition with demonstration homes showcased during the Better Homes in America competitions between 1925 and 1931. The contractor, Lou J. Kilgore, was known locally as a builder who specialized in English shake roof houses and cottages in the English style, and constructed 2 other homes in San Roque other than 415 Calle Granada. A 1930 property advertisement described it as Norman English home in its highest, best section of Rutherford Park. And although there was a small addition in 1944, it was to the rear of the building, which did not impact the principal facade. 415 Calle Granada retains character-defining features of the English vernacular style, including steeply pitched roof with slate tiles, expressive chimney, stucco exterior, wood multi-light casement windows, a small stoop at the entry, and medieval-era details such as arrow-slit vents. Therefore, it qualifies under criterion C, and it retains integrity of location, design, setting, materials, and workmanship. It retains a high level of historic integrity as it conveys its 1930 appearance. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so to the commission for questions and, let's do public comment. Yeah, that's a good point. Let's do public comment first. All right.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. At this time, I don't have any speaker slips for in-person public comment for this item. We don't have anybody online with us, and we didn't receive any written correspondence for this item, so I'll give it back to you.
All right, thank you. All right, to the commission for questions and comments.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner McClure.
Could you tell us what the roof material is?
Yes, the report said it was slate.
Okay, it's real slate. Okay, thank you.
Other commissioners? All right, in that case, do we want to have a motion?
I'll make a motion that 415 Kai Granada be designated structure of merit.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Under discussion, any further discussion? All right, no one's going to deny its English pedigree? All right. All right, couldn't resist, sorry.
No, radio.
All right, let's have a roll call vote then.
Thank you. I'll begin with Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvik,
Yes.
Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
Commissioner Rivera, Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorden,
Yes.
Vice Chair Uli,
Yes.
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right. On to item 3. This is for a one-time pre-application review for 800 Alvarado Place. This is El Encanto Hotel Historic District. Is a designated landmark located in the Hillside Design District, constructed in 1913 through 1930 by Sewell, Ray, Eaton, Edwards, Plunkett, and Howell in the Craftsman vernacular/Spanish colonial revival style. Proposed for a new 525 square foot greenhouse to serve as a waiting room for the existing spa. No final appealable action will take place at this meeting. Project compatibility findings and major alteration findings will be required for project design approval. All right, welcome. If you could introduce yourself for the record, and then we'll go to staff.
Joe Androlitis with Androlitis Mixon Architects.
All right, and to staff for any
Thank you.
comments.
Staff doesn't have any comments. This is a one-time pre-application, so we're just looking for comments only today. Thank you.
All right,
No
thank you.
motion required.
That's correct. No motion required. Comments only.
All right, take it away. You have up to 15 minutes, but.
I won't be taking that.
Okay.
Good afternoon. We're here today to just get your input on a minor addition to the hotel. As you know, the hotel has changed hands recently, and the new owners are looking at increasing the quality of the amenities on site. And so one of their first amenities that they wanted to address is the spa. So after looking at the current spa and the program that they want to provide their guests, they found the need that to create additional space for that spa experience. Let me go back to the site photos, but the area right now, the entire spa facility is in this, I say, northwest corner of the hotel on the lowest floor, and then there's an outdoor area in front of it, and that's the area of the structure that we're proposing. Here you can see this is the existing spa plan. This is flipped. I apologize for that. I'm presenting these drawings that were prepared by Kevin Klein Design in LA. So they're the ones who authored the design that you're going to see today. Entrance to the spa currently is here. Also access from this hallway. This is the proposed plan. This is the new, we're calling it a greenhouse structure that will serve as a nice waiting area for guests, and it'll also create connectivity between the indoor amenities of the spa and the proposed outdoor amenities of the spa. So they're looking at cold plunges and stuff like that to provide outside as well as indoor elements. This is kind of some of the narrative of the greenhouse concept that has been influencing the design. This is just the demo plan showing what we removed. Some more imagery. Go back to the photos. You really don't see this corner of the building at all from the street. If you look at the corner here, there's lush vegetation around the west and south side of the property. This is kind of peeking through actually on the property up from the lower part of the property. This is looking from the east over to that corner. It's looking a little closer. This is down the street. These are two views from the street there you can't really see. And then this is the area. It's not a big area right now. It's hard to photograph, as you can see. But this is the area in question, or the area that's where the proposed addition is going to be. This is a little more setback view of the same area. So here's some kind of conceptual renderings. There's two schemes. Basically, the only difference is the color. I think the team prefers the darker green color. But the idea is to create some kind of transparent element addition to the building to not kind of compete with the current architecture of the hotel. And I think it fits well with the spacing in that corner and creating these outdoor amenities, and creates kind of a nice environment for them to waiting that doesn't feel like they're in a cave. They still feel like they're outdoors but being protected from the elements. This is the interior view. It's basically a glass block or glass building, you know, a lot of transparency, a lot of fresh light. These are some of the imagery of the exterior components that we're not really proposing today. But that's really it in a nutshell. Very understated in my opinion, but still keeping in with the existing architecture of the hotel. Most of the doors, I think, on the exterior will open to create some airflow between the indoor and the outdoor area. And just like to get your thoughts on the idea before we progress further. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll go to public comment now. Is there any public comment on this item?
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. At this time, I don't have any speaker slips for in-person public comment for this item. But if anyone in the room would like to speak under this item, you can approach the podium at this time. But I'm not seeing any movement towards the podium. We don't have any participants online, and we didn't receive any written correspondence for this item, so I'll give it back to you.
All right, great.
And pardon my interruption,
yes.
Chair Grumbine. Staff would just like to request that the chair provide a summary at the end after each individual commissioner provides their comments, just for the ease of the minutes. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yep. I will take notes here. All right. So to the commission for first, let's go with any questions. Any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Ensberg.
Yeah, I have one question. Is this is all conceptual that you're trying to put forth to us to see what we think about it, right?
Correct.
And what do you imagine that this would be? Would this be constructed? It's a custom constructed element, or
Yeah.
is it some kind of a?
It's not a prefab.
It's not a prefab that you buy
get
from
off the shelf. No,
yeah.
this is
Okay.
all custom.
So, okay, all right. Thank you. And oh, one other is this dark sort of olive green is the one that you're kind of leaning toward that you like.
I like the olive green. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think most of the team did too. But we're open to suggestions on what you guys think.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner.
I'd
Clerk.
like to ask your opinion on, when we're inside the building looking out and up, one of, some of the wood members or the solid members are dark, and then the picture above, they're lighter. So it's a different experience for the person inside. And what would, I have an opinion, but I'm not saying there's a right or wrong, but which do you like better?
I like the dark both on the outside and the inside.
Okay.
I
Thank
think
you.
there's already enough light obviously coming through. So
Gives you some
Yeah.
structure.
Yeah.
All right, Commissioner Ensberg.
Yeah, one other question, sort of following up. Is it wood, or is it
no,
metal?
it's going to be a steel or
Steel.
aluminum
It's going to be
structure.
steel. Okay. Yeah.
And then, is there elevations of this, or is this only
This
plan
is-
and three
This
mil?
rendering is all we're presenting today.
Okay. I guess one question I have is, does the stair landing hit the roof, or is that,
It would not hit. I mean, the intent is not to hit the roof.
Okay.
It hasn't been fully vetted. But,
yeah, okay,
when we do progress, if we progress, we would
get it to
prefer
tuck
it
under?
to not.
Yeah,
to
okay.
be well away from the stair landing there.
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Vice Chair.
My question is the roof appears to be flat, but it's probably not actually going to be flat, is it? It's got
No,
to
there'll have to
drain
be
somehow.
slow, maybe an internal drain of some sort. There's all kinds of different things we need to figure out, like how to light it, how to condition it, and still keep it transparent, and keep the structure real and not littered with conduits and ducting and stuff like that. So that'll have to be addressed, but the idea is, yeah, the roof would have to be sloped. And whether that's done internally with internal drains somehow, we're not there yet.
Is-
All right.
Another question on the roof, was there consideration for having a solid, at least the flat portion of it, as opposed to having it being all pure?
No.
Okay.
I think one of the things too is it's visible from above. And then there's a main dining area right there. So seeing the glass roof is much more attractive than seeing a flat roof that probably just gains dust and dirt over time.
It's also good for a Tom Cruise movie. You know, you drop,
Jump through.
you fall off of the through the glass. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Commissioner Lenvick, were you?
Well, yeah, it's tough to get oriented here. The site plan is, north is up and plans and north is down, whatever, it's tough to get oriented. But this is a southwest corner, so it's gonna be gaining a lot of heat. And
Is it southwest or northwest?
It's on the southwest corner,
Southwest.
internal.
This corner is.
I mean,
Got
it's
it.
not the
Okay,
very
got it.
southwest of the hotel. It's kind of internal on the.
so
that-
you're gonna have to find a way to get a lot of air in there, I assume.
Yeah,
And my concern would be where all that air is, the equipment for that air is located on the property. But it's fine, I would say next time you come in, get the orientation right, it'll be easier
I agree.
to understand it.
He did say he didn't do the drawings.
I understand.
Okay.
This concept.
Only problem is his name's on them.
All right, Commissioner, sorry, was there another question?
Yeah,
Commissioner
I keep
Ensberg?
having more questions. So the window, this is, I'm looking at the picture with the olive.
Okay.
So.
Can you zoom in on it?
Yeah.
That is, I can't read but, what are the awnings look like they're sort of the existing building. Are the windows white of the existing, what are we dealing with in terms of existing, buildings?
That's all meant to be existing. The awnings actually are green. They don't really.
Celery color or something?
They're
like
not. They're like more of a green.
Yeah, okay.
So
And then the windows are white?
windows are white and the
And then
building's
there-
white.
There's this little trellis projection on the one window on the upper left, and then we see the stairs. Everything's white,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, hope we don't have another question, but thank you.
All right. Other questions,
Chair.
Commissioner Jordan?
Is the glass all to be totally clear?
Yeah, I mean, there'll have to be some energy analysis done to see if
Okay.
it needs to be tinted. They'll put
And
dual
you
glazed,
said-
obviously. And
This is not a kit. This is not a,
no, it would not be
So-
a kit.
who designed it? Did you design it? Or are
I
you
did
just
not.
representing it?
I'm representing it today.
Who designed it?
Kevin Klein Design out of LA.
Okay.
All right. Other questions, Commissioner Butler?
So, yes, from that perspective, what's on the outside left side of the structure? What's it sort of coming up against? On the left of. that-
Right
yeah,
here?
right in.
That,
what
I
is
think,
that?
believe that's a window.
That's
Yeah,
does
let me-
the proposed or design obstruct the window, or? I'm just trying to get the relationship between this and how it fits.
Oh, there's a set of doors there. So, apologize.
Yeah, how it fits in there.
So there's a set of doors adjacent to that. That's what you're seeing.
Okay, all right. And then, so it's pitched in the front, but it's also pitched on the sides?
Yes.
Correct. Okay. And then you said the material is going to be steel or aluminum,
Correct.
and then it's planned that it be glass of some nature, whether it has to be, and the shape is rectangular. Is that a square or is it a?
It's, if you
straight
look in
question.
plan, it's more of a square shape. So, you could see here, it's almost a square. Kind of see it,
Yeah.
this area right here, that's kind of rendered more with the floor pattern.
Okay.
That's the extent of the,
And then the primary
Greenhouse.
entrance would come from the hotel, or are you thinking
the primary entrance is internal
internal?
here
Got it, okay.
through there, but you can obviously go down these stairs. There'll be multiple kind of entrance points.
Okay, and then the height of the structure? Because I just, again, is that, there's a staircase that is sort of fitting under there or something?
Yeah, I mean, the height's gonna have to get massaged so
Gonna
that
have to
it doesn't
Yeah.
conflict either, you know, directly or, you know, design-wise, it's far enough away from those elements that it looks like it's meant to be there.
Okay, great, okay, all right.
All right, any other questions? Can you go to your inspiration images real quick? And so, okay, so, and I'm trying to understand if there is a particular reason for like the angle of roof or and I wanted to see if it was from the inspiration images or what, or from the current existing, for the angle and shape of the roof structure. Is there anything in particular that they're going for, or just sort of fitting it within the space of it almost
I think
square?
it's a number of factors of the existing architecture. Obviously, having a completely sloped roof would make the element much too tall to be kind of this add-on to the existing hotel. So I think it's a compromise between, you know, a flat roof would not be as dynamic, and it'd be a little too simple. So to have that element of that slope gives it a little more detail.
Gotcha, okay. And then can you go to the other, I think there's those inspiration images, and then what were the other ones, that I see off to the right there? Okay. And then, all right, that's great. That's all my questions. Any other questions? All right, let's roll into comments, and let me capture them as we go, and so we can kind of discuss and comment on things. Commissioner Jordan?
I have two comments. First comment is, this is described as a waiting room, 525 square feet. It doesn't affect this design, but it's worth noting, 525 square feet is larger than studio apartments allowed under state housing regulations, and this is a waiting room. I just want to make that comment in passing. The comment that actually goes to this is the next time we see it, I know where this building is, but I don't understand yet how it touches the existing building. So literally how it touches the wall, how high it is, how it comes near or not near the stairway. So I know from this presentation where it is, but not how it touches the building. I'll also say, at this stage, I'm very supportive of it. We're not voting on it today, so it's you're headed in the right direction. But that's what I will look for the next time we see it.
All right, great. Who wants to jump in next?
I'll go. I think it's a great addition.
Great.
I would tend to agree with that, and maybe suggest that the roof configuration be somewhat closer. Oh, you just scrolled off of it. That the roof configuration be somewhat similar to the photograph to the far right. It seems that a fairly simple, low-sloped shed roof might serve the purpose better and avoid the stairs and that kind of thing. So it would be interesting to see that explored. But I think it's supportable primarily from the reason that you really can't see this from any of the public ways. And if the landscaping continues to grow as it does, then you definitely won't see it.
And, one more comment.
Commissioner Dorn? Yeah.
One more comment. You're calling it a greenhouse. The tradition of greenhouses, actually the panes of glass tended to be quite small, and there was a certain pattern to the mullions and muntins. The next time we see this, if it comes back with large panes of glass and very little articulation of the surface, that will be a problem.
It's not a greenhouse.
Well, that's their word for it. That's how it showed up on our agenda.
Yeah. All right. Commissioner Rivera?
I fully support having a greenhouse. I think it's a great idea. And I think it could do a little bit better job of transitioning from the interior of the space to the exterior, and maybe lightening up those columns. I do prefer the light white color version better. But I think as a concept, you're kind of, it feels a little modern, and it doesn't feel like it has the detailing and the sensitivity of having the elegance to belong at the El Encanto. So I think that this is a great opportunity to look at some of your imagery that you have on your boards and think about some of the shapes. And it just feels a little blocky and modern and not so romantic. And I would like to see some kind of a little bit more articulation and detailing in how all these pieces come together.
Is that HLC poetry?
Yes.
Yeah.
Poetry? More poetry?
Poetry.
All right. Yes, Commissioner, and then we'll go to Commissioner Butler after. Commissioner Ensberg, sorry.
Oh, okay, yes. Thank you for this. It's pretty exciting, I think. It's really a cool idea, and I really, like the others have said, I definitely support the concept, and you're here to ask us what we might suggest that would be different than what you have proposed as the concept. So what I would say is that it does feel like a kit to me. It feels like it was a kit that was bought in England and then stuck on the building. So that's what my initial thought of it was. So I love the idea of a glass building. I would like to see how it could be more relatable to how it can bring up the El Encanto at the same time. So both are working together to make both of them the best they can be. So I would like to see the framing of it to be much lighter. I feel like it's very heavy with these large elements and then smaller. I'd like to see the whole thing feel lighter. I think that would be something to look at. I agree, the flat roof, I think could be better. There's been others who have suggested other ideas for that. I'm hoping that there will be operable windows and maybe a fan inside to really feel like you're in a glass room and that the window's open and the air is flowing through. That's more of a mechanical thing. I did notice that there are like clear stories that are running around, so maybe the whole height could be brought down a little bit to get the roof to work the way you need it to. And as far as the color, I just think I would just suggest that you look at the building. You know, the building doesn't look to me that exciting, the El Encanto building with all the white and then those awnings that are a little boring. And as they are trying to think about how they're trying to increase, make the experience better for their clients and their visitors, that maybe they want to look at that in totality of how those colors would work together. Because I could go with either one, a dark color or a light, just depending. But I think that how it works with the existing building is what I would say. But I'm very much in support and look forward to what you would, where you go with it and come back with. And I do think that one final point is whether it can be seen or not, I think is very important that it be fabulous. So, and I hope that maybe when you're driving by, we could get a little peek of it or something, but I think that's extremely important. Thank you.
So you're basically saying we need a spa trip?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Any other, other comments? Let's see. Commissioner Butler, and then we'll come back.
I don't have much more to add, it's already, but I concur with Commissioner Rivera. I think the lighter color, and to what Commissioner Enberg says, try to make it look like it's part of the hotel, like it was built when the hotel was built. and so make it appear a little more integrated. And otherwise, I think the other comments I don't need to be redundant.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any other additional comments want to be added? Okay. I'll summarize these comments in a second, and I would just add as we're going to the roof discussion. And I think this is a good picture to look at. Then we'll go to the other. But I think part of as you're sort of refining this structure, I'm totally supportable of the idea as well, the location, the general size, all those things. I think it's great. I do think that, per some other commissioners' comments, if we're try to think of what would a greenhouse at El Encanto be, right? Like, what does an El Encanto-esque greenhouse look like, and why? And that's going to, I think, play to some of the very specifics of the historic language and play off of them. And one of the things I think just to note as a challenge is it seems like most greenhouses have basically three sides exposed as it sort of as a engaged element. And so I think part of the struggle with the roof and with the is because you're engaging. I understand for program reasons it makes total sense, but that's part of the challenge that's been created by having it only two sides, right, of glass. And so the roof then starts to question how does that work out and do. So just as you study that, the other note is the sort of tectonic alignment of the rafters and coming down and aligning with the piers here, the pilasters, and the strong corners as well as you have that sort of rhythm and grid. If you go looking at the current design, I think part of it is that it has some weak corners, and where the roof is ceiling is would be a major beam coming down tectonically. It wants to have something that's responding to it to carry the load down visually, I think. So I think that's part of the structural logic and the visual logic need to kind of come together as you're refining this. And obviously the roof shape and those are all part of it, the geometry and how that works out. So that's just sort of a general note as you're refining to make sure that have that tectonic alignment of the major members. Okay, so that was the only add I had in terms of that the structural logic, but I'll try to summarize what all the comments are for going forward here. So, all right. So first comment is the commission is very supportive of the project and of the concept, the greenhouse concept attached in this area and this general size and massing. So that's it's very encouraging to the team, your design team, and your owners to continue down this route. Okay, so some additional notes of as you're coming back for the next time. One note on the drawings is just to make sure that there are the site plan and other layouts are just more consistent so that we can understand them better. And for additionally, of course, elevations, the typical requirements of plan section elevations, as well as the 3D rendering is very helpful as well. It's great. Great to see it in 3D rendering form as well. There was a comment about the orientation. What was that, Commissioner Lenvik?
Oh, well, I missed.
Oh, that was a drawing. Okay, orientation. Good. Okay, got it. So another comment is that there needs to be more articulation, and I think this ties to just sort of the overall design elements, and as you articulate them, making them to be to be well suited for El Encanto, and even particular to El Encanto as a greenhouse attachment. Let's see, we talked about. And so as well as the drawings will hopefully show how this portion of the building, the greenhouse, attaches to the main structure is important as well for us to understand. As well, part of the refinements to be the mullions and muntins to be studied, so that makes sure that it has a strong greenhouse character and refinement of transitioning from mullions and the piers and down to the muntins. And then there was a comment about the transition from interior to exterior. What was there a particular? I'm trying to think who got. Oh yeah. Do you want to look in plan and kind of?
Yeah. So if you look at the plan, I mean, you had described in one of your statements about the importance of the transition between the interior and the exterior, but I think you can play off that a little bit more by opening up some of the corridor spaces, having a little bit of more of a transition space, so that when you enter the corridors, you're feeling like you're getting a sense of that being part of the greenhouse. The corridors become a transition to the greenhouse.
All right, so maybe I'll put it this way, to just, to study the connection between the greenhouse and the corridors as you go on with this. And it might be that there is good connection, but we need to see that as well. And it's probably the interior renderings and things like that might be helpful for that.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner McClure.
I'd like to point out, like, it's called the greenhouse, but I don't think it's a greenhouse. Isn't that the name of this project? But, so we're treating it as if he's designing a greenhouse, but it's more of an atrium. Is there a little rub there that you're feeling on being?
I think just it's designed to feel like a greenhouse, you know,
So,
but it's
so
not a
you're okay
greenhouse,
with it
obviously.
being reviewed as a greenhouse?
Probably not, like, they'll probably call it something else. in the next one, but-
No, but I mean, the concept of what you're going for is basically like this greenhouse that was transformed into now the spa waiting room, right?
You know, it's Santa Barbara. I mean, we're gonna have lots of plants inside. It's gonna feel like you're in a greenhouse.
I just thought it might
And
be
you're
a
just
little
waiting for
unfair,
your,
the
you know,
judgment versus, is
your-
this the name of the project?
No,
Like a
we'll
restaurant
call
might-
it something
the bar might
else.
be called the library. Just a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
guess not.
And then the last comment was for the color. It seems like we've got people okay with both. And while I prefer the darker green, but is everyone okay with just that continued look at the color as you go forward, study the color, especially with the existing palette of El Encanto, and, you know, come with the additional reason for your preference? Or
I'm even okay with white. The building's white.
yeah, I think it doesn't seem like there's a strong, but the two options presenting seem both to be of merit, but just come with a clear direction and why, as you consider the rest of the palette for the project.
Can I make one last comment?
Sure.
If you notice on the interior rendering, the detailing and the molding and the trim is much more elaborate. And that doesn't really reflect itself on the outside. I would assume that you'd be supportive of that kind of detailing on the outside. So it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like a kit.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Could I make one other comment too that has occurred to me as we're, also with respect to what Commissioner Dordan said, you know, about the square footage. And then, so if you could slide up to, and then we were talking a bit about that it was a square, the shape of it is kind of a square. No.
Now,
no,
for
no,
that
no.
comment, just as a note, I didn't include it. Yeah, okay, that's what I assumed, yeah.
No, go back to the images and keep going. And go to the right and go down. Okay, this one here on the left. For some reason, this like really appealed to me. Well, what I like about it is the lightness of it, that it doesn't have such heavy members, and that it just seemed it's maybe too small, but you know, between the big or the square rectangular one that you have now versus something more like this, like sucking it back a little bit, because I noticed in your plan, you have circulation on 1/3 of it is basically circulation along the one side, and then the rest of it's seating, right?
Yes.
So I just wanted to bring that up as being open to the possibility. I mean, I'm very supportive of it and just want to see where you end up, but I did think this one was quite lovely. And the way the roof works and everything, maybe that could not work in your situation because of the windows and everything else you're dealing with. But, and maybe it could be 2 wide instead of 3, the way you have shown. So I just wanted to put that out there as something to
Yeah.
help.
I think that's good as sort of adding the extra information, but I think that also falls within the sort of continue to refine.
Yeah,
right? 'Cause
yeah.
you could refine towards thinner. I could see you refining, even keeping certain members, but the whole logic has to work, and it could be one version or another within, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Any other comments that we're missing here? Otherwise, it looks like we might have caught up, so let's, we'll make a motion. No, I guess no motion. It's just
No motion, that's all we need for this item. Thank
all
you.
right, so you've heard it. All right,
Thanks,
thank
guys,
you.
appreciate it.
Good luck with it. Yes, thank you. All right, so we are on to the last item, item 4. This is a new item for concept review. This is 710, 726, 730, 740 Garden Street, and 320 East De La Guerra Street. This is located in EPV. The project consists of a subdivision of the 4.68 acre lot to create 1.58 acre lot, Lot 1, 3.1 acre lot, Lot 2. The project includes demolition of 5 existing apartment buildings, 710, 726, 730, 740 Garden Street, on proposed Lot 1, and 320 De La Guerra Street, totaling 48 apartments, including 11 surface parking spaces and most of the existing trees, landscape, and hardscape, to allow for construction of a 3 to 4 story 38-unit apartment building, Building A, and a 3 to 4 story 66-unit apartment building, Building B, for a combined total of 104 apartments with an average unit size of 721 square feet, developed under the city's city's average unit size density incentive program and the state density bonus law. All units within the development are proposed as affordable to low-income households. Development on Lot 1 includes 8 surface parking spaces, a loading space, and 62 vehicle parking spaces at the garage level of Building B. New trees and landscaping are proposed throughout. No development is proposed on Lot 2 with this application. All buildings on Lot 2, 54 one-bedroom apartments, a recreation building, and 24 surface parking spaces are to remain. Project approval is subject to the project compatibility findings unless the application of these compatibility findings would result in disapproval or reduction of density of the housing development project, or condition approval in a manner that renders the housing development project infeasible per Government Code 65589.5 DNF. No final appealable action will take place at this meeting. Project compatibility findings will be required for project design approval. All right, so with that, welcome. If you could introduce yourselves for the record, and then we'll go to staff for comments. And
Dale Azam, Deputy Executive Director with the Housing Authority.
Christine Perone, partner at the Cornell Collective.
Nicole Greer, landscape architect at CJMLA.
Okay. Great, welcome. All right, so let's go to staff for any additional comments.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine, Pilar Plummer, City of Santa Aurora Planning and Zoning Division staff representing this project. So as was discussed in the project description, this is a project utilizing the AUD program as well as state density bonus law in order to construct new senior housing units. I think Dale from the Housing Authority will give a more expansive overview of the project. But it was as noted, this project for phase 1 involves the demolition of 5 apartment buildings in order to create 2 apartment buildings with 104 units. All of those units are proposed to be low-income senior housing units, and so they are allowed to do 104 units. That's the allowed density under state density bonus law for given the type of affordability that they're proposing. Another component of this project is that they're splitting the lot. So they're going to create Lot 1, which is where all the actual development is going to be occurring, and then Lot 2, there's no development proposed. Currently, those units will remain until a later date when there's other phases for the project. And I can expand on anything else as we go along. The point of this hearing is really to look at consistency with the project compatibility findings, ideally positive feedback on the design, and then continue the project to the staff hearing officer for the lot split. Yeah.
All right, Commissioner Jordan.
I have a question, Mr. Chair, for staff. I understand that no appealable action will be taken. We're not going to take a motion on this. But we're told that when it comes ultimately to that, project compatibility findings will be required, but only if they approve the project, that we could not deny approval under code. So it doesn't matter what we say, correct?
Chair Grumbine.
On that.
Sure.
On that issue.
So through the chair, Commissioner, so because this is a state density bonus project and also through the Housing Accountability Act, we have to look at the findings. Specifically, these are the project compatibility findings, and look at objective criteria rather than subjective. So the findings are still applicable. But when it comes to the findings, it needs to be based on an objective review of those findings. Yeah.
Is that clear?
So,
And just to expand on that a little bit more, so the threshold, because this is a housing development, we're really looking at, concerns about health and safety, not necessarily stuff like private views or, height, things like that, that might be more subjective.
My
Yeah.
procedural question then is, why do we need to make any project compatibility findings if under the existing system, we are only going to be allowed to make positive ones? Why make any? I mean, we could take a vote, we approve, we don't approve, but then there's this extra step of making project compatibility findings, which seems not necessary in this case, because we can't make a negative one, right?
So through the chair, Commissioner, one, the project requires, because it's not a ministerial only project, it is a discretionary project with the lot split. This project does have to come before your commission, that's required by the charter, and the findings for this type of approval is the project compatibility findings. So those still apply. It's just as noted in the, noted in the agenda, we have to look at it from an objective standpoint.
Because it is an unusual thing, so,
Yes.
so let's just play it out, play out different scenarios. So say we don't find that its mass bulk scale is appropriate for, or a component of it is not appropriate for this site, and we can't make that findings. So then what? What happens at that point?
I
Do
think
we have to make do we have to make findings that does not meet this, and then that has to be appealed, or how do the things play out if there is a impasse?
This project can still be appealed. That is a path that's in our ordinance that applies to this project because it's a discretionary hearing, right? What I'll just say is size, mass, bulk, and scale, you are looking at that from an aesthetic standpoint, right? How it fits within the overall context of the site and neighborhood as it pertains to your findings, but size, bulk, and scale as far as reducing density, that would be an issue for this type of development, right? Because they're proposing X number of units, so.
Yeah.
Again, I'd focus on the aesthetics, but they're proposing the number of units that they are, and you can't further reduce that.
Okay, so go ahead, and I have another question on that too.
All I want to say is, I asked a procedural question. I'm not prejudicing.
Yeah,
project
for
or
sure,
not.
for sure.
It's just that I
This
don't
is an
remember
unusual
seeing this
procedural,
procedure.
yeah, this is an unusual procedure for us. So I do want to make sure that we understand where our lanes are and where we can go and where we can't go. And if we do go one place, what that means for the various other pieces, because this is unusual. The other question, so that the density question was another question I had. So is the density so if we could imagine in our heads a way that keeping the same density in terms of number, but it might require a change in ceiling height, or it might require a change in massing or size of units. Those could all be potentially affected by that, but the density number could still potentially be the same. How is density considered? Is it just considered in number as long as it meets basic other criteria, or is it, no, your average unit size is now 720, instead of 721, it's 705, and so therefore you're lowering the density by square footage.
They're
How does that look
proposing 104 units, so you can't require them to reduce the number of units, that's one.
Yeah.
They're proposing a certain unit size. I mean, there's ways to deal with plate height and whatnot that you can look at, if that answers your question as far as the aesthetics of the design. But as it's noted in the project description and that footer language, you can't have things that would effectively prohibit the development, right?
Mr. Chair?
If the findings would get to that.
We are operating here with the presumption that this project is only feasible with 104 units.
No, I think I'm operating under the.
No, I'm asking the staff. I mean, they're in here with 104 units, and that is in the second paragraph, or the small paragraph, that is what makes the project feasible versus 103 units, which might make it infeasible. How do we know that in Santa Barbara, that this project can only succeed at 104 units?
Because we would have taken that fiscal training that would have helped us
There
understand the
goes, we
finances.
can go watch it. So I don't want to
Yeah,
get.
I'm gonna get that out of.
Commissioner
Thank
Levick, I don't want to go sideways on it. What I'm trying to make sure that we understand is where our guardrails are for what is in our jurisdiction and not. We can get into the whys maybe later, but, and that's more of a discussion, I think, with the city's legal team.
And so just through Chair Grumbine, with this project, again, we're really looking at the aesthetics of the project right now conceptually. We'll then be going to the staff hearing officer. When it returns for project design approval and final approval, staff can provide a memo that covers it a little bit more detail for you. But again, for this meeting, we really just are focusing on the aesthetics overall of the project.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, with the square footage particular question, it seems to me, as I'm reading this and from my other understandings of things, it seems to me that if we were to give direction of that did impact in some way some square footage of some units, that doesn't necessarily make us reducing the density. But I want to make sure that that's true, because if it's not true, then we need to make sure we're playing by the right rules. And I don't want us to make a bunch of comments that are actually just going to get overruled by state law anyways, and then waste everyone's time and frustration with it. So I want to make sure that we're making comments that are appropriate for where this is with HLC and our
Mr. Chair.
powers.
Well,
Vice Chair Uli.
Mr. Chair,
Hold on, let's go Vice Chair Uli, and then we'll let staff actually answer the question, because I was asking staff.
That paragraph is very confusing. In order for HLC to approve a project that requires the compatibility findings, we have to make those findings. If we can't make those findings, then it might result in disapproving the project, which we can't. It might result in the reduction of the density, which we can't. And it might result in the project not being feasible, which we can't. So why apply the compatibility findings at all? Why can't we just ignore them and review the project and move on? The reason why we have those findings is so that humongous buildings don't wind up in a neighborhood where it's out of scale to the neighborhood. We haven't seen the project yet, so I don't know if that's the case. But if that is the case, then we can't make that finding that the building is compatible with this neighborhood, and thereby it results in a disapproval.
now.
Okay, let's go to staff for a second and see if there's an answer to the square footage question, and then an answer to Commissioner Uli's. And the answer might be that there isn't a clear answer right now. We might need to get more information. And in the meantime, we review concept review and at least give the input that we give. This is for concept review, and then get clarity as we are going forward. But I don't want to go too much round and round without.
No, but we're being told by the staff one thing, and the paper says something else. The staff is saying, your job is to look at the architecture, whatever. But the project has to be approved for compatibility, and we make compatibility findings. Compatibility findings with regard to the window depth, the doorbell height. I mean, what are the compatibility findings? The compatibility findings are, is this project and its size compatible with the neighborhood?
Okay.
Is that architecture?
Got it, Commissioner Lenvick, and we're going to move on. But,
Saying the same thing.
yeah. Okay, so to staff, any notes on both the square footage and then the previous question? And it might be just that we'll get more information as we go to make our compatibility findings. And for now, we can make our comments as it is on for concept review. And then we can worry about the compatibility findings once we actually have to make them.
So through the chair, again, you can't ask them to reduce the number of units. They've submitted a SB 330 application to do the number of units that they're proposing. The other thing is with density, or not density, but the unit size, the housing authority is proposing this type of unit. This is typical for the average unit density program, so they're complying with that. They're consistent with our zoning ordinance and general plan in terms of the unit size. You can look at that with the applicant. They have their program that they're trying to meet. These are larger units than the current housing development that's in existence for the senior housing. And as far as the footer, it says project is subject to the project compatibility findings unless application of these findings would result in disapproval or reduction of density, or condition approval in a manner that renders the project infeasible. So the findings apply unless it would result in a disapproval of the project. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I'm
So
sorry,
let's-
Chair Grumbine,
Yes.
I think we should ask, if you don't mind, I would ask
Yeah.
for one more clarification. I think
Sure.
we should talk about, and if staff could speak to the fact that we are deemed complete under
Yes.
SB 330. We have a maximum of 5 hearings, and so some of those will be for, one will be for city council and one will be for staff hearing officer, and I think that's to the point that Commissioner Jordan was making.
So we get, this is
Two.
what we get in Santa Barbara now.
Okay, so,
And-
well, actually, let's get clear on that. So is that true? We're getting one
So,
hearing?
no, so through.
Okay, good.
No.
Let's find
So
out what the
through
facts
the
are.
chair, this is the first hearing. As Ms. Piron just said, this project has been deemed complete. So we're having this first hearing. We're looking to go to the staff hearing officer with feedback from your commission in August. And then the project will need to return to this commission for project design approval and final approval. Those can, of course, be done together or separately. We also have city council that we'd be looking at for the map. But there's a total of 5 hearings.
So we might
Yes.
get 3 of them.
Yeah, it just depends. It depends how
Gotcha.
things go,
So
right?
one
But there
pro,
are
one
5
city
hearings total,
council,
yes.
And probably the rest HLC. Okay, great. Or something else, okay. All right, great. Okay, so I think we have at least as clear as we're gonna have today on, on what.
about the architecture now?
Yeah, let's talk about the architecture. So if you could continue now with your presentation. You'll have 15 minutes for concept review. So this is a big project, but you'll have 15 minutes, and then we will go on from there, and especially talking big picture about the most obvious things that are for review.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine, and we will likely go over 15 minutes, given the scale of the project.
Okay,
And we
that's
wanted to, we thought we owed it to the commission to explain a little bit about the phasing and how this has been thought through.
Okay, great.
Background.
All right.
Thank you very much. I'd like to just take a step back and talk about the background to this project. As all of you know, Santa Barbara is one of the most desirable places in the world to live, and that translates into being one of the most difficult places for low-income seniors to be able to afford to remain in town. More than 1,000 seniors are on local affordable housing waiting lists as we speak, hoping for the opportunity to stay in this community. Presidio Springs, in its current incarnation, has served Santa Barbara seniors well for nearly 50 years. The buildings have reached the point where they're no longer meeting both the current need as well as what we anticipate the future need will be. Just to clarify, based on some public comment, we are not proposing to permanently displace anyone. The focus of today's presentation is on the first phase of a multi-phase development over the next decade or more. We have intentionally designed a phased redevelopment plan that allows the majority of residents to stay in place during each phase, while some residents relocate into vacant apartments in our portfolio, either temporarily or permanently. While there will definitely be the disruption of construction, every resident has a right to return to a newly finished unit if that's what they want. Since early last year, early 2025, we've had 2 resident meetings to talk about our plans and 1 community-wide meeting as well. Our overall concept and plan and timing has not changed in that time frame. We recognize that change is difficult. Many of our residents are understandably anxious. Their concerns are real, and we take them very seriously. We will assist all residents who are required to move with both finding suitable alternative housing and with the move itself. As you also know, Santa Barbara is a largely built-out community, and it's very challenging for us to find sites that make sense and that can be built at scale. And that's why the Housing Authority has looked at its own portfolio and the potential for more density on our own sites. Based on these criteria, this property is one of the top on the list. It's centrally located, close to amenities, transportation. It's got low density and with aging buildings. By thoughtfully redeveloping this existing site, we can more than double the number of seniors who live here, and we can accomplish this with a plan that honors what Presidio Springs has always represented while preparing it for the next 50 years. So we appreciate the Commission's willingness to consider this concept and look forward to working collaboratively as the design evolves. All these technicalities aside, we do want to hear your feedback. So, and with that, I'll turn it over to Christine.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. Let me just kind of jump on in here. So the entire site is a full block. It's actually a little bit more than that, but we're just going to talk about the block today. And what you're seeing there in the red dash is the proposed Phase 1 redevelopment of this property. I think you're familiar with where we are, but I'm going to go through this quickly. I wanted to particularly point out the 3- and 4-story buildings up here at De La Guerra and Garden, the Doom Hotel. Then we do go down to 1 stories, clearly, and then across the street on Laguna, that's one of the Housing Authority buildings. And then right across the street here, the city buildings. So here, is this not centered on the screen? Yeah, let me go to small screen here. There. Just in a plan view, the existing site where the red line shows the proposed lot split. And we really thought through this a lot to make sure this was the least disruptive to the current residents, and chose this building, which is only 10 apartments, as the first step. That way the Housing Authority only needs to relocate 10 residents. And when we build that, we then end up with what we'll show you here is Building A, and that's going to be 38 new apartments. And that means did I skip a slide? No. The buildings that get demolished for Building B, those residents can move then into Building A. So this has been thought through as this step-by-step progress to make sure that we can move residents to new homes. There's the rest of that progress. Quickly, because this is not what we're reviewing today, but we have worked through with staff on some of the rudimentary aspects of the Phase 2 and Phase 3. So that's what we'll do next. Once we have built buildings A and B, that's 104 apartments. There's currently 102 apartments on the site, so we've already captured the existing number of apartments. So once we get to Phase 2, now we're adding new housing for new residents very much in need. And then finally, Phase 3 will happen in the future. And this is, as Dale said, this is out 10 years plus. So our proposed Phase 1 site plan, you can see it's Building A, and then there's a small surface parking lot with a loading zone in between it and Building B. It looks like when you look at Building B in particular that that's going to be all garage facing the street. But because given the grade, if you're familiar with it, it drops down quite a bit. So we took advantage of that to really put most of this garage on the Garden Street and De La Guerra side, semi-subterranean. So those will be it's from 3 feet to 6-7 feet sticking out of the ground. So Building A, to zoom in here, a lobby, activated lobby on the corner of Ortega and Garden Street, a courtyard style building as the Housing Authority. I appreciate that they still have a commitment to those. Then the upper floor plans, and you can see on the 4th level, we purposely eroded the entry to only a 3-story, where we're more adjacent to those smaller buildings in our neighborhood context. And here we are looking at Garden Street, and that's that 3-story. You can see what you really experience here are those 2 wings of the building and that large courtyard. And I will be asking for a bit of pink building because I'm on a crusade to bring that back to Santa Barbara. We've lost them. We've lost too many of them. Here's the north elevation. This is facing that surface parking lot. And it is important to note, for efficiency and cost, these are identical units. That is important to this program. And so you do see a lot of that, but we've been careful with the architectural variety, and we will continue to work on that to break down that repetition. The Building A east elevation, this is facing kind of internal to the site. And then Ortega. So we've turned the corner here. My references. And then Building B. And like I said, that first floor, most of that around that perimeter of the garage is semi-subterranean. But we do activate what will still be that large court area, lawn, the Great Lawn, as a part of Presidio Springs with additional residences there. There's large courtyards up on the, call it the second floor, but it almost reads like the first floor. With the lobby there, you see with a few steps up coming off the corner of Garden and De La Guerra. And then 3rd floor, 4th floor. Same thing with the 4th floor. We've eroded a number of locations to respond with the massing. So here is the Garden Street elevation, and that's where you can kind of see on the left side, there's a courtyard entry to that lobby. That's up about 3 feet. And then on the right side, you can see that's more like 6 or 7 feet of the garage that's exposed, but this is also wrapped by significant tall landscape planters that are doing dual use for us as well for our stormwater management. The water table here is just truly like 5 feet below here. Then the De La Guerra elevation, and this is where, even though the hotel is right across the street, we do kind of cascade down to those 1-story buildings across the street. So this is where we purposely drop to 3 stories. And even when we have the 4-story, you can see that's kind of pale because that's pushed significantly back from the street. And the building east, this is facing into the site with that kind of main stacked loggia is kind of centered onto the existing Great Lawn as a design element. And then the south elevation, and this is facing that surface parking lot. Colors we can talk about, but selected from the color boards from the guidelines. Quality terracotta mission tile, and then again, a combination of window colors so that there's some variety. That's the Ortega Street, which gives you a sense of the existing 1-story Presidio Springs apartment buildings and what the new one will be. The Garden Street elevation between the 2 new buildings. And then De La Guerra. And that's a 2-story building that remains for now. Just going through some of the views. This is Building A on Ortega. We've used loggia effects for the decks and kind of ganged them together to kind of create some of the changes in the massing. The corner of Ortega and Garden with the pink building. This is from Garden, where you really kind of see into that courtyard. And then I just wanted to show the courtyard experience with the hierarchy of arches. And I was really going for broke on romantic on this one. Then just looking in between the two buildings, you can see the existing one-story apartments beyond. And then the corner at Building B at Garden and De La Guerra, that plaza entry with the one-story loggia. And it's definitely eroded, especially that there's a community room there at the ground floor, so we use that as an opportunity to change the language and the tempo of the openings to create that deck. Corner of De La Guerra and Garden. And then as we go down De La Guerra. And here's the view from the Great Lawn that I was mentioning. And that will largely stay through all the phases. We made a commitment to that. And then I'd just like to hand it over to Nicole.
We have the full landscape set too, if you want to go back through. This is just going to be about the proposed landscape, not, talking about existing trees. We are removing a lot of existing trees, but they're all non-native decorative trees. And then we have a number of trees proposed here, and you can see across the site, we're really trying to keep that garden aspect of the existing property, although it will be much denser. That's what we've heard from current residents, what they really appreciate about it. So we're using a lot of, sorry, it's not very clear on this image, it's so zoomed out, but we're sort of using a lot of decorative paving and trying to introduce some signage that you'll see on the next sheet to foster like a walking loop and encourage, residents to kind of have a regular circuit around the site. So these are all permeable pavers in these walkways. And then when we're on podium here and then at the building entrances, I'll talk about the materials there. But it's going to be like a porcelain terracotta, not real terracotta, but porcelain, so it's more durable, less maintenance. Sorry, I think that's my phone. I could turn it off.
Who is it?
It's probably my alarm. Like, go to your hearing.
Yes. Hello, this is HLC.
Sorry. And then we have permeable pavers in the driveway here. So you see some of those permeable paver images here on the bottom left. Can I just page down? Yeah, here we go. Okay, so zooming in on building A here, there's yet another enlargement of the courtyard itself. Again, the resolution's not great, but you can kind of tell permeable pavers outside on grade, and then when we're on slab at the building entrance, it's the porcelain terracotta paver, which I can bring samples of next time we see you all. And then we also have some bike parking. It's hard to see, but we've tried to really make it a pedestrian experience around the perimeter. And then we have these interior Mediterranean-style courtyards. So central tiled fountain. We're looking at a variety of stone to try to make sure we get the right one. We want to introduce flag, but it can be a hazard if it's cleft or not installed very well. So I'll bring samples of that too. There are really flat, slate type sandstone that is not cleft, and then a terracotta tile here. And then where you see this blue, it looks like water, but those are the bioretention planters. So those would be filled with grasses and things like that that are appropriate for wet conditions. Oh. Building B here, we'll talk about the courtyard. That's above the parking in this dashed outline. And then kind of the same thing, terracotta tile at the corner entrance on De La Guerra, and then permeable pavers elsewhere on grade. And then this is a ramp coming up to the entrance. You can't see it. It's kind of a split level here, the lobby. Here are those courtyards. So all of the courtyards shown here, this is the Building A courtyard. with that fountain, and then building B, the 2 courtyards, and then here's that entrance that I was just talking about at kind of a split level. So you'll come up the stairs or up the ramp to the lobby here, and then that community room is off of this courtyard that Christine mentioned in the elevation. So this courtyard is intended to be like a flexible space so that we could have, you know, a yoga class or just outdoor dining, depending on the needs of the users and the programming, right as you walk out of that community room. And then we're introducing kind of these lightweight planters on the podium here with some trees, Schefflera trees, I think. And then this courtyard is kind of supposed to be more contemplative, using the same planters and then introducing palm trees and other shade-tolerant trees. And then this kind of little strip here is meant to be a decorative tile. These are maybe not the best images, but we'll bring some images of that, or some samples of that too next time. And then these are, again, the quality is so bad on here, but these are the terracotta porcelain tiles, and then this is intended to be the pedestrian paver. It's the Montecito blend. It would be permeable in this random ashlar pattern. And then up here we have some tile images furnishing bike racks. But the thing I wanted to point out is this kind of like little engraved sandstone moment where we would have like a 1/4 mile marker, 1/8 mile marker around the property for that walking circuit. Ooh. This is just, yeah, the building A courtyard and then the building B courtyard. So that one got squished. It's not the right proportion. You can kind of see planters here. Those white circles should be green and represent plants, not columns. Again, more the materials up close. I guess that's it. And then I can show you some of the sheets if we want to go to the plans and talk about existing trees or anything like that.
All right, well, let's wait till if there are particular questions, we can do it that way. All right, so does that complete your presentation? All right, great. Let's go to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. At this time, I do have 2 speaker slips for in-person public comments. So first we'll have Valerie Roten, followed by Jim Coleman. You can approach the podium and you'll have 2 minutes to speak. And if anyone else would like to speak, you can fill out a speaker slip on the pink clipboard that's on that wall, and you can bring it up to me and I'll call your name after the first 2 speakers are done. But Valerie, you can come up to the podium.
Hearing us. I realize that
Oh,
this forum here is not really the place to address all of my concerns or what I want to bring up. But what I want to talk about that you guys have failed to bring up is the Historical Landmarks Commission, and the purpose of that is the historical value. The trees are not just decorative they've been here for over 100 years. The pepper trees that go all the way down to the mission. And I think that your building may look nice to you, but it makes me cry. It is not Santa Barbara. That belongs in Los Angeles maybe, but not Santa Barbara. And I know there's a housing problem, but I know that this is not the only property that can be used. And yes, we will be displaced, and it is going to be a huge disruption. Moving is right up there with divorce and the loss of a loved one in terms of stress and anxiety and the disruption. They're talking about the demolition and destruction. And how about the health issues for all the time that they're going to do like a little hopscotch thing, of which most of us will be here during all that construction, where there's asbestos, there's drilling and noise and traffic, and some people have, most of us are elderly, and a lot of them have health issues, COPD, asthma, other breathing issues, cancer. This is huge. And I'd like to know what happened to the Macy's parking lot. that was supposed to be approved a long time ago, in which that would be plenty of room to put your additional 104 or 204 when you're done. By the time it's all done, we're talking more than 10 years, and the first phase is supposed to be 2 to 3. And I also want to point out that you have not been forthright in this. We had a meeting when you talked about 25, of which you told us what you were going to do. And what about our waiting list? What about the time that we all have our story of being on the waiting list? Some of us 16 years. I personally was 5 years. And I think that it would better serve the waiting list people now to start from the bottom, an empty space, a lot, something, instead of tearing up our homes, taking us out of our homes. We have our own stories of hardship. And I just want to say, I mean, we have not really had the opportunity to be in on these discussions or air our concerns and our grievances, because we've been kept in the dark about this for the most part. We've been told what you're going to do, what you're going to do. We have no choice, and really, we don't, because we're in low-income housing. And I'm just here to voice my concerns. I will be at the other meetings. Maybe the city council is more appropriate to voice some of those other concerns that I have about what it means personally to me and to others. We won't have our gardens anymore. We won't have a yard. And we won't have that beautiful, historic place that has been here for a long time, and many people enjoy it. It's like a garden there. I just think the housing issue would be better served in a place where you are truly building up the apartments to let these people move into, instead of taking us out of our homes and having that huge disruption for many years before it's complete.
Sorry, ma'am, it is a 2-minute limit, and you're over, so I just want to make sure you get any chance to wrap up anything. Yeah.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Well, I did submit some information that's on public record, along with a statement. And so anyway, I said I wouldn't take more than 2 minutes, but thank you for hearing that side of it. I wish we could be more involved in the plans going forth, because it sounds like we may not have a choice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Jim Coleman. Okay, well then I don't have any more speaker slips for in-person public comment. Unless somebody wants to approach the podium at this time, I will move to virtual participation, but the Zoom has kind of crashed right now. So, but there was nobody online when it crashed a minute ago. So, oh, there we go. So, yeah, and we received written correspondence from Valerie Roten, and I'll give it back to you.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to bring it to the commission for questions. So start with questions. Commissioners with any questions? Commissioner Ensberg.
I do have one question. What is the total number of units when you're completely done with the project for the whole site? How many units will there be?
Thank you. Commissioner Ensberg, the goal right now, I believe, is 284, but that will adjust as we move through the different phases.
Okay, great, thank you. And then also, you mentioned the Great Lawn. Can you show us where the Great Lawn is?
Of course. That's right here.
Oh, okay.
And that's that large pine tree and the landscape planter there.
Okay, I think those were my, oh, and I guess one other question, this goes back to what we were kind of talking about at the beginning here. What the average unit size is Is that flexible at all? I mean, these are a little bigger than your normal ones, is that correct? Did I hear that right? And is there any flexibility on the sizes of the units? I know we don't have any choice about the numbers.
Thank you for that question. One of the reasons why they're bigger than what they are now is the ones there were built 50 years ago before there was a lot of accessibility requirements. And that enlarges the bathrooms and the kitchens and some of the clearance areas. So I would say they're comparable in reality to what's there now, because otherwise we would have a reduction in living space.
Right, okay, that makes sense. And then also, I noticed in your summary of all the units, most of them, I'll say 85 to 90% are one bedroom. Is that right? And then there's a few studios. Is that right?
That's correct. Almost all of them are one bedrooms.
Yeah, okay. And is there any, these are for our elders and also low income, is there any flexibility with that? Like, having more, why was it the choice to do that many one bedrooms versus maybe more studios and so maybe that gives more wiggle room, perhaps?
Yeah, in large part because the one bedrooms that are there now work so well, and we wanted to basically provide a similar level of amenity. We did sprinkle in a few studios just because, it took less room, but I don't know if you're asking, should we do other than senior? I think we feel like this has always
No.
been a senior project.
No,
We
I
wanted to
wasn't,
stay
I
that way.
wasn't saying that. I just knew that that was what it was, and I support that. I think that's great. I'm just looking for where there might be options for anything. And I guess the last one would be, and I know we talk about this quite a bit, is the plate heights. And if there's any possibility for the plates to be.
Let's start with where, can you just briefly go through the plate heights?
Yeah,
Within
yeah.
elevation or whatever?
Currently, and it's kind of my
Make sure your mic.
Thank you. Currently, and it's kind of where I always start at a 10-foot-6 floor to floor, because by the time we build these with the lightweight concrete or the gypcrete and the acoustic mat, and it's almost always 16s, TGIs or 14s. There's a cost issue that happens when we go to the 12s. So by the time I add those all up, it can be a little over 8 feet. And then usually while we're in construction, and it's for cost and constructability, it ultimately ends up being something like an 8-foot. I think what you're asking, do you end up with 8-foot ceilings? And yes.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. And then my last question is that courtyard. Is there I think I saw from the view from the street, the render that showed, isn't there like a block wall or something between the street and the courtyard?
That's correct. It's a kind of a pierced work kind of look, and it's there, one, because there's probably there's a grade change.
Is there an image
Yeah.
you can go to for that?
There's an image from the courtyard.
Right, so you can
There it is,
see it here, and so actually you can see somebody's this little
Recording in progress.
woman right there, her head barely
Okay.
sticking up there. So you can see, I think it's it varies a little bit, but 2 to 3 foot grade change. And there was also definitely a privacy concern for the residents and a security concern. That is one of the things that they voiced many times when we talked with them. So making sure that we walled that was important to them.
Okay, great, thank you. Those are all my questions, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Jordan, then we'll go to Commissioner Lundvik.
I understand Presidio Springs now is a block-sized unit, and you're asking for a lot split. And I'm just curious, why begin on this part of the larger block?
Thank you for the question. There was a number of reasons. Some they're very quotidian. So it was the direction of the utilities and where they're headed, and we didn't want to be fighting that. So starting on this side, when almost all of the utilities are heading towards Laguna, made a lot more sense, because then we're just cutting off the end, not rebuilding it for the entire site.
Thank you. That's my question.
All right.
I have comments, but
Yeah.
that's my question.
Commissioner Lundvik?
Yes, I'm wondering, I mean, it's obvious, I mean, this is not your initial layout, but I'm sure you did examined other options, and are any of them less expansive on the site? I mean, for example, the buildings you're taking down are two-story, we call them bungalows almost. One and two-story. What if you went to, within that footprint of four-story, you'd get almost the same number of units you are proposing, but you would have a lot of open space kind of threading around and walking around. Is that, an option you didn't choose to explore?
Thank you for the question. We are doing 3- and 4-story. We considered actually a 5-story to do some of that, and then decided against it with the housing authority, feeling like this is where they want to be as appropriate to the neighborhood. So other than losing units, we couldn't really reduce the height, the number of stories, to provide more open space. It has been, I think to your point, maintaining or echoing the feeling of that garden, that experience has been important for everybody involved from the very beginning. And that's why we're keeping the Great Lawn intact largely in the end. The experiences, and way back when I had on my slide decks with the team, smaller, more intimate paseos that you walked through that had a garden feel. So that has been important to us, but there was no option. I think what you're heading is make larger, more garden, open walking spaces throughout, and without adding more height.
Well,
Yeah.
what my thought was, and I'm sure it's not of any value at all, but if you took the footprints that are there now and built that footprint 4 stories as opposed to 2.
You wouldn't get the same yield. You would not result in 38 apartments because of how it would work right now.
You've got 48 now, right?
Well, let me just, if I would just walk through like the 10-unit apartment building right now.
And actually, can you go to a plan?
Yeah.
while we-
So right now, well, let me go to a site plan here. There you can see, there's the 10 apartments. It does not have a corridor, stairwells, elevators, support utilities, all of those other aspects that go in to building this. So I don't think that if you stayed in that footprint, you would not get 40 apartments. You would get, I don't know how many.
This will be a different living style than what the people have now.
Yes.
And I guess that's a compromise you make to live in Santa Barbara.
Yes.
Question marks?
Well,
Okay.
so that's my
Okay.
question, yeah.
Other questions? Questions? Yep, Commissioner.
This is sort of a sidebar. 62 parking spaces are proposed, is that? I guess I wonder about this project's going to live for decades, obviously. And I wonder about cars, honestly. I think cars are actually going to go away or be replaced.
Hope so.
No, I'm serious.
No, I hope so.
Honestly, I think someday we won't own cars.
Yeah.
Not we won't.
Well, of horses.
Well, yeah. So I'm just
We'll have
wondering,
something.
you have 62 spots, maybe, that sounds like initially when it's built, that might be, but over the long term, I'm just questioning if there might be better use of that space somehow. Just because, again, and tying to Muni, so you could get public transportation access, et cetera, et cetera. So
Good.
I just raise it as a thought.
It's an excellent question, and we talked a lot about the parking from the very beginning, and the Housing Authority often does very few parking spaces on some of their projects. This one, talking to the residents like about half, I think, own cars. Knowing how impacted this neighborhood is with off-street parking, and Dale, you might want to speak to this, but yeah.
I think you put it well. That's what I was going to say. We're trying to keep a similar ratio to what's there now, because that was something the residents expressed, concern about.
Yeah.
So.
And to your
Just an additional question on that. Is it just me, or is it, it seems like there's more parking in the, or is there not being more parking proposed for the long haul than, that's just by
the
what?
entire block. My recollection is it's about the same, but correct me if I'm wrong.
It includes the entire block and some of the parking that is across the street from Laguna.
Oh,
So the way we were analyzing this was more of housing authority-owned properties as well.
Okay.
But to your point as well, if you look at that garage, that is, again, subterranean, it would not have been appropriate for housing, at least half of it. And then the other half is lined with apartments. So we have been using that. I hope with my electric bike, that yes, cars go away, but for now, and given the impact it would have to the neighborhood, I think the housing authority is making the right choice to provide that parking and be good neighbors.
One final question. Is the city housing authority only developing on city-owned property?
No.
You buy, huh?
Yeah, we buy as well.
When you drive up and down Garden Street and other streets, you see parking lots. You got parking lots now with solar panels on them. You have the county education building got a huge parking lot. There are parking lots every place, and you kind of wonder why. I mean, the people that live there wonder, why are we being asked to move and build up our property when there's so much other property around that would be more appropriate to take initially? I mean, that's,
Yeah, I think it's a great question, but we don't control all of those. I mean, we are in partnership with the school district on our first project, and we looked at all of those school-owned properties that have those solar panels, which is a built-in, has beautiful potential for future housing, but right now, it's under a contract, and, they've got a vendor that's operating it, and it's not really practical. In time, as those leases mature, I think those will be great opportunities. I was going to say, we were also doing Jacaranda Court, which is a city-owned parking lot, that's being converted to housing. So we're definitely trying to do that as well.
Well, I know that concerns some people. Not that I've talked to anybody in this development, but it's concerning some people who see the transitioning of relatively nice, small housing. You drive around there and there's trellises with bougainvilleas dripping off them, and it just...
There's bougainvilleas on here too.
And then you see parking lots that aren't being worked on.
All right.
I'm through. That's my
Commissioner Ensberg, and
Yeah.
are there any other questions?
I just had, I forgot to, when I was asking you the total units on the full site in the future when you're done, what are the total there right now of the full site?
102.
So 102 versus 284, plus or minus? And okay, it's called Presidio Springs. Is there a Springs there?
Yes.
5 feet down.
Water table
5
is
feet
very
down.
high. We built our office at 706 Laguna across the street. We encountered water at a very high level. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I realize, this is a property you have control over, and that's largely the impetus to do something here, because you can. You have the control of it, and you're trying to do it in a way that is keeping everybody in place to the greatest degree possible that you can, correct? We're in questions, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, logistically, to the extent somebody wants to move, if they're in, say, the first building and they want to move to somewhere else in our portfolio, not on Presidio, and we have vacancy, we're happy to do that. It can be a one-time move, and they're done. We can't promise that for everyone because we don't know where our vacancies will be. But if somebody really wants, this is where I want to be and I want to come back and I want to be in a brand new place, then we'll move them twice. We'll move them once temporarily and then we'll move them a second time. So.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, I have one question. Okay, can you go to the perspective with the, let's go through the perspective real fast here. Okay.
Maybe not that fast.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so Ortega and Garden. So if you were to reduce the height or apparent mass of the 4-story at the back there, how might you do it?
At the,
Here? No, the further back one. That we'll get to that one next. So if you were to, without reducing your total square footage, and I guess have you thought of ways in which you can reduce the apparent 4-storyness of that mass without still with shifting things in some way, shape, or form from the street or that facade? That's not necessarily the first 3 stories of it, but the 4th story of it.
oh, I see what you're asking. Well, I think the first response is I've probably played a lot of my cards already on this project for massing. Pushing back a unit and offsetting the plumbing stack is really complicated. I would automatically add a foot of height to that floor below because you got to pick up the plumbing stacks that are coming down. So I would add a foot of height to this building to do that. And then I would still push it off the building on the other side. If I go to the plan. So we're talking here. So this is a stack, right? That's really crucial to affordable housing. If I push this over, then this would stick out this way off of so none of these would stack for the plumbing. And, we could do that. Obviously, we could push it 2 feet, let's say, add a foot of height to the building. To do this, my stairwell is a hot mess, architectural term. To do that, I don't know how I would fix that. But obviously, as you know, we could have that stick out. It could be nice, right? A couple feet, do kind of corbels. But things like that we could play with.
And I guess an added question to that, is that on the setback right now? That current wall line that I was talking about, potentially pushing back on the 4th story. Is that on? Yeah, is that wall line on the setback right now?
We're past the setbacks. We're in the setbacks already.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So you already need some sort of a modification for that.
It's a waiver.
Part of your waiver.
Yeah. I don't know because of having thought about this and knowing where the sidewalk is. Would I want to do that? Go towards
Yeah.
the street? I don't know that I'd want to do that.
Because that's okay. All right, that was my question. All right, and so that's it for questions. Let's roll into comments. And this is not for project design approval, but project compatibility findings may end up needing to be made.
Sorry, Chair Grumbine, sorry to answer your question. The only other thing I can think of, sorry, you have me going.
Yeah.
I don't think I would reduce the size. If you really wanted to break this down, I would actually probably pop up that roof line and make it taller and break, because I think it's the continuity of the 4-story. So if I took that roof line and made a tower-like element from the street, it would read differently if it was only on this unit here. Now, something that looks kind of tall and massive suddenly becomes a tower element, and as you know, that can then help the perception of the height. So, anyway.
Okay. All right. Okay, so let's roll into comments. And let's keep our, so they have 5 hearings. At the most, 3 of them are here.
I think there's a solution to that.
Okay. Did you call Sacramento?
No, but this is one hearing, and we just continue. We don't cancel it out. We continue to, down the road. So it's still one hearing.
Oh, I see. Technically.
We adjourn?
We're adjourned.
It's by default if you don't do it, sorry.
Oh, that's right.
Why would the city want to be party to the state doing that?
They don't have a choice.
That's not, yeah, there's,
It's not our purview.
yeah. All right, so we're not getting into politics right now. Okay.
I have some comments,
Dorn,
which I'll
okay.
try to move through quickly. First one you're not going to like, and it's not about this project, it's about the procedure, which is not just confusing, but potentially farcical in terms of we are bound, we don't just make stuff up. We have criteria that we're supposed to work to, and if we're told we can't work to those criteria, that's a problem. It's not your problem, but I wanted to say that. But to getting to your project, I have a series of comments. First of all, I'm very sympathetic to the public comment, to the letters we've received, and to what it means for the residents there. I'm very sympathetic, but I'm also understand the situation that the housing authority finds itself in, that the community finds itself in, and I'm very supportive of what we're being shown today. There will be a great deal of disruption in the near and mid-future, and the distant future, 10 years down the road, will be very different in Santa Barbara. It will be a denser city, and that's as a result, I think, of a kind of perfect storm of demographics, geography, and economics. There just aren't many other options. If there's not a lot of cities built out, there's not a lot of land, you can only build on the land you own. So I understand that. Let's get to something perhaps more architectural. You mentioned the color pink, and I understand that pink actually has a history in Santa Barbara. So I'm perfectly willing to consider that. Next, you used the word when you were describing the great courtyard, romantic. And I just want to make a comment about that word as an architectural historian, because we are sometimes criticized for using a word like poetry, which is hard to define. But in architectural discourse, romantic is a real thing. It is the opposite of rational, and it can be defined. And so I just want to, and I think it's important in the city of Santa Barbara because the Spanish colonial revival is inherently romantic. So I want to encourage you, any kind of romantic detail that you can enrich, I'm very supportive of. On landscaping and losing the trees, it's really painful to lose trees, but an urban landscape with the urban dynamic of growth and change, it means the lifetime of urban nature is seldom the natural lifespan of the plant materials. And it's part of this change that's barreling towards us, accelerated by the state of California. But we consistently say we have a housing crisis. We know we have a population that desperately needs this housing. And it's part of the very painful price that the city is going to be increasingly, in my opinion, forced to pay in these situations. And what we're getting out of this is not one of these private developers who's giving us back 10%. We're getting 100% on this, as I understand it. So I'm supportive of the direction this is going, even though I'm actually not just confused, but rather angry about the procedure that's being rammed down, not by you guys, but by the state, down our throat. My comments.
All right. Commissioner Butler, did you?
What he said.
There we go.
I would add, and we've had this come before, not this project, but similar housing, low income, et cetera, a couple others come before us. And I think the aesthetics is the role that we play, is that I would say we want low-income housing not to look like low-income housing. I mean, as from an aesthetic approach, and we've talked about romantic, and I think that's very important, that the respect that is earned, the individuals that live there, et cetera, is gained by their physical environment. And we want that physical environment to be reflective, as if when you drive by, oh, look at that, that's a beautiful building. It doesn't say, low income for whatever reason. So the aesthetic should reflect that. I'm not too excited about the pink. But I think
what are you wearing?
This is
salmon. Sorry.
Busted. Yeah. I don't know what color this is, but I do recognize, and I think we've had a couple other projects, even one I think on Garden Street that has. I mean, it came in shocking pink, which was a band from the '70s. No, and we did say, no, take the shocking out of the pink was all. So I'm just saying, but I want to just return to the aesthetic aspect of this. That what you come up with, again, is integrated to what we see aesthetically out. And then this is the EPV. This is right in the heart of the belly of the beast. So I'll stop there. But that would be my comment.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to be the Sheila Lodge voice. I don't like it. I suspect that the building is being, the size, scale, number of units, et cetera, is being driven by the financing behind the lot split. I'm sure the lot split is for financing reasons, not other reasons, because it doesn't make any sense to do a lot split on a lot that you already own unless it's part of the financing strategy. If the financing strategy is driving the numbers in order for that to work, then that's why we're told we can't reduce the numbers, because it seems to me you take the entire block and you figure out how many units you want at the end of the game, and you distribute them in a much more romantic way so that they're not all piled up on the corner. I think the building is too big, too bulky, too tall. Notwithstanding the fact that there are other buildings around it that are 3 stories, and those have a much more, to use the historian's phrase, a much more romantic presentation to the street. So at your current concept, I can't support that project.
All right, Commissioner Lundvik.
Yeah, would you go to the perspective of the corner of Garden and whatever, Ortega, I think it was, yeah. I think the building is well designed. I mean, the Canal Collective does a great job. I mean, we're gonna maybe.
Oh, your mic. Can you lean forward?
We're gonna debate, placement of windows or, other things probably, to get a little better building. But it's a well done building, and the problem is it's just too big. And what I reflect on is that this building is like a half a dozen others that have been built in Santa Barbara in the downtown area in the last half a dozen years. They're all the same. There's done this and that, but they're all the same. They're big, they're white, they got a belt line, the windows are recessed, overhang, Spanish style roof. They're all the same, and they're all white.
This one's pink.
Huh?
We got a pink one now.
I don't mind pink.
I don't mind pink. But, we're, and then the next buildings that they build on the B and C or C and D or whatever are gonna be the same thing. We're gonna have the same large white buildings that you can point to a half a dozen places in the downtown area. And I think that's unfortunate. We have been convinced, the architects, us, have been convinced that the only solution to building in the historic district is this, as opposed to maybe a Mediterranean version or whatever. I mean, we've all been in Europe and Spain or whatever, and the buildings aren't the same cheek to jowl. What makes them so palatable is the fact that they have maintained the same belt line or roof line or whatever, things are harmonized that way, but the materials are different, and they give it a character that we don't get here. I mean, if we walk down the street for 5 blocks, and this is all we had, this would not be Santa Barbara, in my opinion. I'm not criticizing this project, this building. I'm just saying we, as members of this Landmarks Commission, have got to find a way to approve buildings that are going to fit in that don't all look alike. That's what we need to do. We need to find a way to approve buildings that don't all look alike. My comments aren't going to give us more gardens, or not going to, improve the living conditions or whatever for the people that live here. That's a given. But I'm just saying, and I think the architecture is great and was going to be approved. But I just think we've got to find a way, working with the Cornell Group and others that do really good building in Santa Barbara, to get something other than block after block after block of this.
All right.
I'm done.
Okay.
Do you want to go
Commissioner
ahead?
Ensberg?
Okay, I will go. First of all, thank you. I always want to appreciate the hard work. It's not easy, and I have a few just sort of general things I want to say, and then I'm going to get into some more specific to try to kind of address maybe some of the comments that Commissioner Lenvik has brought up. But I wanted to say, first of all, we have if you were just going to strictly say, is this compatible, it'd be hard to say it was compatible. But we have a housing element that says it is compatible. It says allows for this density in this location. So we have this kind of, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but we have, this is this conundrum we have, because we are going from one thing to another thing. So I just wanted to say I recognize that. And then I wanted to also say that I also recognize and appreciate the Housing Authority always is very, and this team is always very wanting to hear and trying to find something that that will make the community happy and also build the building, to bring it together. And I know that the Housing Authority always is extremely sensitive to that and wants to hear what we have to say if we can offer something helpful. So I want to make that comment. And then I also, this was mentioned before too, is that we're going from one pattern to a very different pattern. What's there now is these, 1 and 2 story little cottages, I'll say, with very openness and paseos and open gardens that not only the residents can experience, but also the public. Anyone driving by, you very much see all of this, garden type of thing. So that's what it is now, and Commissioner Lenvik asked that question. I was wondering about that this morning when I was over there looking around again, is, if you kept the footprint and you just went up, what would that do? Then you'd still have more of that openness, but as Ms. Perrone explained, you don't have elevators, you don't have stairs, you don't have all the stuff you have to go up like that. So I appreciated that understanding. So if we're going from this one to this one, and how can we, just knowing that that is something that we value. And I think you are trying to do that with this courtyard and with the open lawn and those things. So that's good, and maybe keep thinking about those things as you move forward. And making it also, what I like about how it is now is it's completely open. There's no walls that keep anybody, the public could actually walk through there. So I think that's a really lovely thing about it. So not saying you can or you can't, but, think about that. So then now I'm going to say just some things that I think I appreciate what Commissioner Lenvik said, that we are, and it's by necessity, when you can't, to get the density and to have the economy and to have all the plumbing stack, this is the kind of building that you're going to get. So how can we make this feel more not have this cookie cutter thing going on? How can we find other ways to decorate, detail, whatever it might be, to get something, I would like to have it feel a little bit more folksy, more villagey, if I could use those terms, you know, something a little bit more, this seems very formal and on the verge of institutional to me. Now, how could you make that be less formal and less institutional? One thing you could do is you could have eased edges. You could have a more lumpy wall. So instead of a steel trowel finish, you could have something more softer, more like the courthouse, many examples of that kind of finish, as opposed to this hard edge steel trowel. So that's one thing I wanted to suggest that you think about. And just different ways of making it feel more, also the arches, like could it be not rounded arches, could it be squared off, and could there be wood? Could there be more wood elements like a heavy timber header? You know, we certainly have lots of examples of that kind of style too. Maybe making it less formal in addressing the openings that way. And then just in general, you know, a little more playful, more, as usual, I'm going to always say about the awnings, and I did notice you guys have green and white striped awnings on your buildings over there. Very nice. Anyway, more color, more playfulness, something to make it feel more happier and more more village feel to it. So I think those were the main things I was just going to say, of just kind of looking of how you might take that same building. I understand why it is like, and I do appreciate that you have like a Santa Barbara blue window. And I was going to say like having the windows recessed more, but I think that if you put awnings on, you would not necessarily have to do that. And that would save costs. So I think maybe doing that other move might allow you to avoid having to do deeper windows. So just kind of playing around with different ways of, as Commissioner Lenvik said, you know, what are different ways that we can make this not look like all the other buildings? It looks a lot like Jacaranda Court to me. Yeah. It does, which is beautiful. But, you know, so I guess I'll stop there. I've talked enough. And thank you very much for all your work. I think it's brilliant how you're working to try to move the people around and keep them. I think you're doing the best that you can, and we do certainly, you know, going from 102 to 284 is impressive. So, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Rivera.
We're all in a tough situation here. You are, we are. But you can understand the conundrum that we're in. We love Santa Barbara, we love great architecture, and we love...
Commissioner, make sure you talk into your microphone.
Okay. So, Housing Authority's been doing a great job for years and years, and we appreciate you and all the work. And this is a difficult project, for sure. And we're going to be seeing more and more. We've been seeing more and more. And this is one of the reasons why I decided to join the board, because, you know, our Santa Barbara is changing. It's not going to look like it has, but we have to direct it in a way where we can be responsible citizens and architects. So I understand the massing and what you're doing, but in terms of compatibility, which is hard to define, it's not compatible with size, bulk, and scale with the neighborhood, but it is compatible with other things that we're trying to do as being progressive. I appreciate all the comments that everybody's been saying, and I agree with Commissioner Ensberg saying that it doesn't feel like it's playful enough. It still feels very static. It doesn't read like a housing, residential housing. You know, it needs more life. It needs more, like playfulness. there's a lot of still repetition with the windows and the doors and facades. They can be different, you know. I think what we want to do is experience a little bit more creativity in our architecture in Santa Barbara. And you have plenty of examples, and you guys are great architects and have been done some amazing work. So I think what we're really looking at is kind of like, what is the most, you know, creative solution, and having a project like this where the residents can feel proud of, the people in Santa Barbara can feel proud of, everybody can feel proud of, like, hey, we're doing something, but we're doing it in a special way that works for everybody. But it's gonna have to involve a little bit more of creativity and effort and trying to make this not feel like a static commercial project. You know, like, what would this look like if it was built, you know, in the 30s? You know, if they had the same problem, you know, like with the same kind of like architecture and desire to have quality architecture. I think you know what we're after. So the problem is, you know, how do we make this huge, bulky building not feel so huge, bulky, and bring in a little bit more of that human scale to it, so that when you walk around it, you feel like, oh, this is, you know, this is Santa Barbara, you know. So we want to introduce a little bit more of the Santa Barbara detailing that will make this a special building. So enough said. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments? Or actually, Commissioner McClure, general landscape comment?
Yeah, I think, well, the spaces are small, but I think it's what they can do with the space that they're given, so I think it's okay.
Okay.
I do have similar reservations as some of these other board members, but in terms of the landscape, and what's being presented within the confines of what's being presented, I think it's okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll summarize in a minute, but first I wanted to add some of my comments. Could you keep flipping through these, actually kind of slow? I just want to make sure I'm understanding the buildings. Okay, I see. Okay, and can you keep going? And going. Okay. Yeah. All right, keep going. And so, actually, can you go back to, and I had a question about, okay, so the building with the flat roof and everything, is that phase 2 or is that this phase?
The building on the left side?
Yeah.
That's building B of this phase.
Okay. And then, okay, then can you keep going?
That's the surface parking lot between the two buildings, A and B.
Okay, so this is that same building, but just further down to the corner and turning the corner. Okay, great. Okay, yeah.
Right? That's what you were saying, Robert.
Okay, then you can keep going, And then, okay, there's the garden, yeah. And, okay, so I guess my comment, and then actually, can you go to the Great Lawn shot too? Yeah, so, and my comment, comments would be, in my mind, this is where you've got the density in the right location, where you have those, you know, it's quite tall feeling and looking, but it's also towards the inner portion of the block, and the main reason is I'm definitely not against density as long as it's being a good neighbor in a lot of ways, right? So, because you have that challenge with Garden Street and De La Guerra and where the things are, and I know there's just 1 and 2 stories right now, but I think that the long-term goal is obviously larger, but not as dense as say downtown. What I'm wondering is how to leaving the density and the massing of this sort, and maybe even simplifying some of the openings, not having as many or different necessarily, and using that money or that budget or that whatever to get the relationship to the street to be a little more broken down. And the 4-story, it might be just one unit or a couple units that shift towards the back or shift in different ways. But if you can go back to the other, going backwards in views. So this is, I think in my mind, this is a successful collection where it is feeling sort of village-like. I do think that I know that the tower element argument is true to some degree, but in this case, I think the tower of the parapet here, the flat roof parapet elements, are sort of fighting with trying to fit into the neighborhood, and where it might be totally appropriate to go with that sort of those 2 towery elements that are popping up in other parts of the city. I think that for it to feel more compatible in mass bulk scale, I think finding ways of minimizing those is going to be more the trick, in the way that you have actually in terms of turning some of these corners. And actually, can you go up to the next one? The previous one. Yeah, so there we go. So this is a really good example, I think, of quite successfully getting a large massing to break down really nicely. And also the corner doesn't feel as large and prominent as some of the other corners of the buildings. So yeah, so keep going back. Yeah, keep going back. So this is a good shot showing that to me, this is much more successful in terms of that breakdown. And then we can keep going. Yeah, and this seems strong on the left with the flat roof. I think the flat roof, because you're already at a large scale and size for the neighborhood, the parapet and flat roofs aren't really helping you unless they're towards the inside of the block more, which it starts to become, then it's in reference to itself instead of in reference to the street. Okay, then let's keep going here. Here, and then, and we can keep going back there. So, and then along this facade, if there's a way of trying to massage it to make it feel more 3-story-ish as opposed to 3 and 4, and then again, the flat roof, I think, element is a strong height. It's a little too strong on the height size for me in terms of the compatibility. So in my mind, I see that most of this can be gotten to work. It's just how do we get some of those 4 stories to feel more like 3 stories or 3.5, and shift that a little bit to the back or in other ways that way. So that would be my Commissioner Ledvick.
Yeah, I'm glad you kind of wandered through all of the elevations, because one of the things that I noticed that might help this project is simplify. I think there's too much of this in and out, up and down. I mean, you're saying no, don't do that.
Well, I've studied these buildings a lot, trust me.
But I just think there's so much of this in and out, up and down, that it's busy, it's uncomfortable. And I think if there was a way to simplify some of the in and out, that would be a big help, And again, I think that maybe the building needs a base. And then the 2 or 3 stories above.
Don't feel you lose visually. It feels like you're starting at the
right.
The,
But I just, when you went through all those, particularly the Great Lawn or whatever it was, you looked at that elevation. It was go back to the Great Lawn.
And that's kind of where maybe you save some on and not having all the things, and you. Because I do think
right there. I mean, look, there's different windows, different this, different that, ins, outs, up, downs, recesses, whatever. I think if that could be simplified a lot, it would.
Or even a little, because you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wall planes, and most of them are off to one side. And maybe if instead of 7, you had 6 or 5, or, and
You're saying,
finding
you're shaking your head and saying, no, Ed, don't go there?
Well, you can understand, I've worked this elevation a lot, and what I don't want it to do is, especially facing that great lawn, and even though it's not so publicly facing, I mean, this is a prominent location to the site, and I just want it to make sure it feels special. So I was really working this one, but, you know, your point's well taken, like, you know, I'll look, maybe there is one plane too many.
Yeah.
You know, this facade in the courtyard could really use some skyline trees. It's like some real monsters, you know, to settle those facades down. Because we see a lot of these 35, 30-foot
Put some
trees.
nukes in there.
Right.
don't let the fire department hear that.
Also, on this one, if I could add, you know, the existing, they have all these little gardens. Like this feels, I'm wondering, yeah, it feels very institutional to me.
This is the great lawn as it exists today.
No, I know. But since everything's changing and, you know, I'm just wondering, I did hear from people and I read the letters and and when I was over there, people have little gardens. Is it possible that this might, even though the Great Lawn is something that you were wanting to preserve because it's there, is it possible that this might become an area more planted, you know, with more like you're walking through a garden, or maybe there were areas that there could be a common garden that everybody could have their own garden somehow. But so I understand why you did it, and I think that is a great reason to do it. But now, since everything is shifting, would this space, this open lawn garden space, be better used in some other way, still as a garden, but maybe as you know, more something that just wasn't this big flat lawn type thing?
I think, and again, you need to understand that would be in a future phase, that work. That's why it's not shown now. We can't, the way the financing works, we cannot be doing things like that on off-site. There's no, it's a separate.
No, I understand.
So, but I
tell them that.
totally agree with you about how it feels now. I'm not a big fan.
And can we go to, I wanted to also say that I think the pink, you know, I'm playful, maybe there needs more pink, you know, and maybe, I'm not usually very supportive of, you know, like having a whole new development and then trying to make them look like they were built over time. I don't think that ever really quite works. But I think that in this situation, maybe each one of these needs to be, you know, you have building A, you have building B. Maybe they do need to be a building of their own character, and so that, you know, well, that's my building and it's a particular style and you really deal with it in a very special way. And then the building B is different in its own special way. I know you have burgundy windows over there and green, but something even more than that. And so I want to say that. And then finally, going through this, can you go through the renderings again? There was that one, which one was it? Is it that one? What I like is when the building can get back further from the setback, so that there's more of that, more landscape between the public and the building. And there was, I guess, can you go again?
Oh, which one? I'm sorry.
This one, I think it was, no, it wasn't that one. I'm not as convinced as Chair Grumbine is about this. It still feels like you're like a very institutional building as opposed to a residence. So I'm still having issue, although I think it's very, if I'm just looking at it just from
Within the
massing and stuff like that, I think it's very well done. It just doesn't feel like kind of these words I was using, you know, folksy and villagey, you know, somehow making it be a little
And perhaps it's because
less formal.
residential is typically more repeated, like
Yeah.
the other
Well,
portions are.
if you don't mind, Chair
No,
Gumbo.
please.
I mean, obviously, I studied this quite a bit, and because of the scale of the buildings, you got to kind of move away from Village Spain, and you got to go to Granada Spain, and you got to go to those building types that are much more tailored and structured and simple. And so I was keying out of that, but you know, I still hear you. I mean, it could always, I'm always happy to make it more fun. But I do think we need to keep in mind that for this kind of building, I think the proper reference is some of those streets on Granada versus the wonderful, love the villages in Spain, but I think it's the better reference.
There are no four-story buildings in the villages.
No. Oh, yeah, my ex-husband has where he lives, yeah. Very few.
One quick other question, or not question, but thought you might want to study is the introduction of balconies. That makes it feel a little bit more playful and lived in. And, you know, these big buildings we're losing our mountain views, and it'd be nice to be able to give people back some opportunity to go out and see those views.
And actually, can you, I had a similar thought, can you flip up the street, up Garden, whichever.
Up Garden?
Yeah, whichever way that is in the deck. Yeah, there. Or actually, sorry, keep going.
That's De La Guerra. Do you want,
Yeah,
you want to go backwards?
yeah, that way, yep. Yeah, so one thought, when similarly, this building with the big windows on the street, some balconies there might.
I'm sorry, they already all have balconies. Every apartment has a balcony.
Oh, I see, left and right, as
Yeah,
opposed to
yeah.
projected balconies.
Yeah.
So part of what I think the question is how on the street, the closest facade to Garden, how to get that to not read like a big wall is I think, a big four-story wall. Tall 3 and 4-story are in my mind, the most. And so you do that in some places where you have the open balconies that are covered, and that feels more open and less like an imposing wall. Whereas the other ones that have
This is the stair tower and elevator tower, so that it doesn't have all the.
Oh, sorry, I'm thinking to the right, the center portion.
Oh, here.
Right there, yeah. So that portion, and then the building further up the hill, to the right, way in the distance here. Building A.
Oh.
You can kind of see it with that too. Just because you're pushing right to Garden Street, right?
Mhm.
And Jeff Shelton does this fair often, does it further down Garden, which I think you have the picture of, which I get it, and make that, but if you are gonna push to there, then giving relief to that wall, I think is really, really important. And that experience of the non-stop wall is what I'm trying to.
I can think of solutions for that, yeah.
For that, okay, great. Okay, so any other?
Why do we walk by the office building you did on De La Guerra Street, the Monterey-style building, and not even know it's there? You don't even know it's there.
Right.
Now, it's probably only 2 stories, I don't know, but.
It's, yeah.
But
It's three and then 4 in the back, yeah.
You don't even know, you're in a building there? I didn't know that. It's so great, I don't know.
I know, but I don't think that's what you guys said when it was originally before you.
Could I comment on that too? Is that building, the elevation, the general elevation of the area, that's a lot higher. So that's the other reason why we felt we could get away with it.
But maybe need a base here,
Yeah, and that does have a base that really does help separate it, stone. Maybe a hand-carved stone base. That fits in the budget, right? Okay, all right, so let me give it a shot with summarizing. There's a lot, but I'm gonna try to not be, I wanna try to sort of condense down to the key things that are really important and so that, especially because there's, at most 3 bites of the apple, and this is bite 1. So we want to make sure that we're giving the best general direction possible. So hopefully, okay. So first, we want to thank.
Just the findings, I didn't want to get that lost in the.
Okay, yeah. So weighing in on the findings. So I think that here's where I'm feeling HLC, my fellow commissioners are feeling, is that at least a good handful of them, us, are going to have trouble with as current design for mass bulk scale. And I think that we're going to want at least a strong try at least some of the moves to offset some of that. And so I could weigh in on what we think for mass bulk scale, but aside from a simple note, I think we're not going to get those findings at this moment, and we're gonna want to see it come back with some of this stuff addressed. And I think that if we can address some, especially some particular ones, that could be more fruitful in terms of focusing attention to get to that mass bulk scale findings, which is, I think, the critical one. The other things being, close to historic buildings and
Compatibility with the neighborhood.
Yeah, compatibility with the neighborhood is going to be part of this. A lot of these comments, right?
But if any of it results in the reduction of density or project infeasibility, then
Then they'll just they don't have to listen.
we're in a boat without a paddle.
Yeah, exactly. Yelling onward. Okay, so let's go through those and let's see if we are in a good place for clarity, and then if there needs to be any more to add or to tweak with this. Okay, so first we want to thank the Housing Authority and the design team for coming to us with this. This is a wonderful project, and we are very supportive of it in general, and also in particular with all the great job that the Housing Authority regularly does for the city, and as well as the design team. So we thank you for all your past work and are very much looking forward to this project coming to fruition. We also recognize that the challenges that are outside of our control with state and other jurisdictions, and so we are trying to stay within our advisorial roles here for this, or our purview. Yeah. All right. We want to note that we are very sympathetic to the residents and the definite extra work and the way in which this project will affect you as it goes forward. It is, and at the same time, it is we understand that it's also something that the city needs long-term as we need more housing, and this is part of the process for that. And we appreciate the Housing Authority working with the tenants and with everyone to make it as painless as possible, although it will still be painful. Let's talk about pink. That's the next one on my list. So maybe just in the general of color and character in terms of, the general direction is, while the pink we find is appropriate and can work well, I think in general we want to encourage the use of materiality, and I think one of the color can be part of this. Color is part of this, but the color and materiality and having variation within that, so that there's not a uniformity of all these buildings throughout the block, is very much encouraged. Suggestions such as having the plaster be more lumpy. There's actually an example. I don't know if it was in your pictures or not, but right at the street in terms of character, so that the buildings read as different buildings and have different character, I think is sort of our general direction that we like. And this was also comments of being more playful, adding color, and potentially other elements such as timber headers or other elements that add character in an appropriate manner. So,
Chair, can I say, for the purpose of, making it softer, more, less institutional?
Okay, yeah, and let's add that as part of it, as in an effort to make it less institutional.
Less formal.
And less formal. We won't use folksy or village-like, but Lumpy's in there on the record.
I have to do this.
And more cowbell.
This anecdote really fast, because we just had Omega Plaster do a lunch and learn in my office, and they were all talking about the steel trowel, and like, you want that Santa Barbara look, that smooth one. And I've been very, very interested lately, especially given the scale of our buildings, in doing more undulation and more plaster work. And the guy's term for that was, oh, you mean the Humpty Bumpty one? Like that was the plaster guy, the Humpty Bumpty, sorry.
So yeah, so we won't put Humpty Bumpty in that.
Commissioner Jordan, do you have anything to say about that as a historic terminology?
Descriptive.
Yeah, we'll stay at, yeah, it's pretty sad, I know. Okay, but it's fun. Okay, so
Chair,
then, yeah.
Also, you know, maybe like more Monterey, you know, in some of the, maybe one of the buildings wants to be more like that. Maybe the railings could be wood, more wood elements. but-
Let's leave it at character, like the general character of it, because I think that can go, there's a lot in, even though people feel like, some people feel like our guidelines are very restrictive. There's a wide range of various Mediterranean, Monterey, Spanish colonial revival. There's a lot to go from. So,
I just want them to hear that, so that, you
Yeah.
know, that there's just emphasizing what we've been talking about.
yeah. So I think you've heard it. So it's as you go forward. The use of this note was use of a romantic as a language is excellent, and I think at least for some of the buildings, that sort of romantic Spanish colonial revival is a very appropriate way of going for at least some of them, and is something that maybe to lean into. So,
Commissioner Jordan has a follow-up comment.
Oh yeah, Commissioner Jordan.
No, I'm okay.
Okay. The Commission also recognizes that it is painful to lose the trees, especially these great pepper trees and others that are that have been part of the streetscape and part of the place for a long time, and also that the garden space is trying to be maximized for the residents, but it will be of different character than is currently the gardens that currently exist. The one other note was to also consider, this is what my translation of it was, consider paseos through the site. So consider connection through the site and see how to get that in the best way possible, while still obviously concern for the safety and for the feeling of safety for the residents as well, and comfort. The landscape design in general is acceptable. One of the recommendations was to consider large-scale trees for the Great Lawn area, even if it's not part of this phase of the project, being indicated that it'll be to come. Another recommendation is to study a base for the building or buildings or building, breaking the mass by using a large base story. And we already mentioned giving different character to the different buildings. And then regarding the mass, bulk, and scale, the Commission recognizes there's a challenge with it, especially being compatible with the neighborhood, and the areas in particular to continue to study and to see if you can reduce to the feeling of a 3-story or partial 4-story, especially along the street frontage, the major wall planes on the street frontage, to look at how to make them appear to be lower, whether that's by shifting units towards the back or by some other method, but having them appear and feel to be lower, especially the 4-story elements. And then another one is to also look at detailing that helps break up the large expanses of plaster walls through either balconies or other elements that will help, help to break from the consistency of a large plaster expanse. And then on the Great Lawn side, to study simplifying the number of wall plane changes and or elevation. And we'll just kind of leave it at that. Study simplifying it. All right. And then the compatible with architecture character of the city and neighborhood, I think we've given direction on those character changes. It's obviously going to have to be stay within our design guidelines, this does fit within our design guidelines. I think they've heard our comments about trying to get to a special character of some sort for some of these buildings, so that they don't have the consistent but still true to our guidelines and compatible with our guidelines Spanish colonial revival, which is throughout our city. And obviously we like to have a little more character, but it still also falls within our guidelines. But I think you heard that as part of it, and we think we've given it as a character study, so I don't want to say this. I definitely would say that it's compatible with the architectural character of the city and neighborhood.
I would disagree.
Okay.
The project that's in front of us, I don't think can meet that finding. If it comes back and it's been massaged, then we can determine if the project that is presented to us next time, massaged, fits within the character of the neighborhood. You know, it's too big.
Gotcha.
It's
I
it's
see.
too big to fit
Okay,
in.
so I was separating for appropriate mass bulk scale. That's true. That's true. So they're both the neighborhood portion is of the 2, and then, but it's also a part of 3. But anyways, okay, so you've heard the comments on that, so I don't think we need to lock that in terms of an official comment. But the to address 2 and 3 of the compatibility findings, we need this additional study and development.
Because I think staff is looking for the general idea of how the project fits within these findings. And so the project in front of us has to honestly respond to whether or not it fits into these findings. I would say design guidelines, yes. The details and colors and things that are suggested in the guidelines are applied to this building.
Yeah.
The character, that's a question. The massing, that's a question. And then we haven't seen the rest of them yet.
Yeah, okay, so I think we have enough in that comment. All right, anything else that I'm missing here?
There's more findings.
Oh. Yeah, so I think this one's gonna be fine, the sensitive historic landmarks and historic resources, and the public views of the mountain, ocean and mountains. I think that while there may end up being some, that'll be a findings we have to have, but in general, yeah, it's gonna be what it is when we take a look at the views. I also guess as the current views with the pepper trees and other things, you don't really have much until you get to the street crossings anyways, but we'll see what that is. And then the use of open space and landscaping, from the landscape side of things, we said was acceptable. So I think that the main ones to focus on, if you want us to be able to make the findings, are 2 and 3. And I think we gave a lot of feedback on those things in particular that are part of it. Okay, anything else that the commission feels that we should add or change? Okay, and then to the applicant, now you're 1/3 of the way through us. Any questions or clarity or anything that you want to discuss at this juncture?
No, thank you, though.
Okay.
And did staff get your summary sufficiently enough?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, so I guess if there was a motion, it would be to continue indefinitely with those comments, right? So does anyone want to make up that motion?
I mean, does it require a motion?
Yeah, because this is actually a complete application.
All right. Then I'd make a motion that the project be continued indefinitely with those comments.
All right, we have a motion. Second by Commissioner Butler. Thank you. All right, any other discussion? All right, roll call vote, please.
Thank you. I'll begin with Commissioner Rivera.
Yes.
Commissioner Butler?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg?
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvik?
Yes.
Commissioner McClure?
Yes.
Vice Chair Uli?
Yes.
And Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for all your hard work.
Good luck with that.
All right, and and I think that's it, right? So the meeting is adjourned.